Hello everybody and welcome to Lads Discuss Death Battle. I'm your only mate and with me is...
Really?
Okay. And we also have...
Hello, I'm Sean the editor, and for once I'm not editing this video.
It's a Christmas miracle.
The video actually turned out good.
Oh, fuck you!
He left.
He just leave it. I didn't mean it. You're a good editor.
I thought that was good. That was a good joke, though. Like to
That was.
the video.
Fair play.
Just like tradition, we can't seem to get a proper intro done.
I did mine just fine.
So you might be wondering, hey, mate, what the hell is this? Like, this ain't that Death Battle podcast you used to do. This ain't you doing a discussion with the max of the few trades. Like, yeah, that's because this is a podcast on Billy's channel, where we just, we talk about Death Battle and various other things. We're currently...
pretty much whatever the fuck we want to talk about.
Yeah. Like, we're currently talking about Season 8 and just as the episodes come out. And I thought it would be fun to discuss all of Season 7. Not just the way we did do it, but actually ranking each episode, because me and Sean didn't really get to talk about that season on this podcast. Especially Sean, he was editing all of those. And then there's the time where Billy was like, let's can this for now. So there are a lot of episodes you never got to hear his thoughts on. Well, now you can.
Yeah, I think
Hooray!
one of my main reasons I don't really do lists is that, one, I am a very lazy boy.
It's true.
When it comes to making any sort of list, oh, sorry, I'm drinking a milkshake while talking. Not the best. When it comes to making any sort of list, really hard to rank it in like the top 10 sort of thing. With tier lists, it's a bit easier because, especially with video games, I can rank which one I had the most fun. A bit different when it comes to sort of death battles because I view every episode differently based on the character and franchise.
I usually just go off of, okay, I enjoyed this episode more.
I mean, yeah, there's I understand. There'll be times I'll go back to an old episode that I didn't like and be like, huh, this episode was actually a lot better than I remember. How comes I didn't, why did I say all that shit about it?
We may never know. But what we do know is that all three of us submitted our top 20 of the season, and none of us really counted the 7 Battle Royale because we thought, bonus episode. It's I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
I think it's very obvious who's a better host.
Anyway, so once I had all 3 lists, I assigned each of them points. Number 1 getting 20 points, and number 20 getting 1 point. And, everything in between. So I used the power of maths to calculate what is the collective number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. So we have here a list that's compiled of all 3 of ours that we can maybe kind of stand by as a collective group.
It almost sounded like you were going to kick off into a song number. I mean, I understand the newest season started off with a Disney character. You don't have to be that committed.
You know what? We should have done that as like a freaking musical.
Oh, God, that would have been painful.
Imagine the dislikes on that.
I think they'll just dislike just because I'm singing. Have you heard my voice in Resident Evil 4? Not the greatest at singing.
I'm not either, that's the thing.
Same. I don't know, maybe if I was singing as Tristan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
So, shall we get this list underway?
All right. I'm also gonna have all the points the episode got on screen as we're talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, I'll have everyone's individual list just on screen. So
Yay, we're gonna be judged very harshly.
yeah, so you watching, if your favorite episode was ranked in the place you thought it shouldn't be, look at the end and you'll know who to blame.
And you know what? You might as well blame us all for the world's problems. Because, you know what? People will complain about the minors of things, including the top 10 list. Or in this case, the top 20.
Yep.
Me. And let's start off with number 20, with a total of 6 points.
Now I have.
Shocker!
Yeah, what did you expect?
Okay, I've kind of already spoke about what I think of the episode. It just feels like a very underwhelming matchup with really cool characters. I don't know. Even if it was a stomp fight, they could have made it a bit fun to watch, but it was just Batgirl throwing batarangs and Spider-Gwen swinging. That was literally it.
Well, and there's that one scene where Batgirl kind of cops a field and Gwen just seems to let her do it. As she places a batarang on her boobs and just arms it.
Yeah, I feel like this episode was rushed. Like, it was meant to come out... I don't even know why this episode was such a priority to get out so quick. I mean, no offense to the two characters. They're not exactly A-tier characters. I mean, even Spider-Gwen's popularity didn't really spike in the Spider-Verse movie. That was more Penny Parker.
Plus, it didn't help that this episode came out when people were really starting to get annoyed about Marvel vs. DC all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was mostly a vocal minority. Because when you look in YouTube's comment sections, you would rarely see, like, that many people complain about the amount of Marvel and DC matches. It was mostly people that you know in the Death Battle community and the people we know on Twitter, really.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, most reactionists were just like, "Yay, we're getting a Spider-Man character! Yay, we're getting a Batman character!" It's like, I do kind of wish more people in the Verse community had that mindset. I don't really have much to say about this episode unless you want me to go on another Billy rant.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really have like too much to say on this one, just because, well, when we've already talked about it before.
Yeah.
And this was what I was referring to earlier, by the way. This was a bad episode I ranked above a good episode on my list.
We'll get to that.
I'm looking forward
to Sean's defense for this.
Should I just go ahead to number 19?
Yeah, might as well.
Sure.
Alright. So, at number 19, with a total of 10 points...
Breathe. Congratulations and goodbye.
Not surprising, really.
You guys really like this episode more than I did. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, this was your bottom episode.
It was.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy this as much as people did, like when it first came out. And looking back on it, I still don't really like it. I didn't like these characters too much while watching the analysis. And plus, I think someone put it best where it's like, if this episode didn't happen, we would only lose Lost Ice Storms. But that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make, honestly, despite how good that song may be.
Oh, that song is freaking fantastic.
It's
For me,
one of
cold,
the
the
few good
saying
things.
actually enjoy the music that much.
That's fair. And plus, that is the goofiest looking death I've ever seen in this season. Thriller pose.
I didn't even think of it like that.
But that's just me personally. Honestly, I bet there are some people who enjoyed this episode a bit more than I did.
Oh, there definitely are.
It's definitely not my favorite. Yeah, it's not my favorite ice fight. I still think Sub-Zero versus Glacius is still the best ice fight we've had, honestly.
I disagree.
Oh, that episode's really underrated. Really?
I'd actually say this is the best ice fight.
I don't know, man.
Well, I think for me personally, it's just because it was the first ice fight, and then it had a really great death in it, and probably one of the best fake outs in Death Battle. Is why
True.
Sub-Zero vs. Glacius is my favorite ice fight.
I also think, like, Sub-Zero versus Glacius, like, it's kind of interesting because they didn't use the custom-made Muggin sprites. Mostly due, I think, 'cause at the time, Muggin, or the people who were on Muggin were trying to take down Death Battle.
I think it's pronounced Mugen.
Mugen, I don't give a shit. But, yeah, so it was kind of interesting that they used the very static sprites, because when you look at the original Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat sprites, they don't really have that many epic motions. It was pretty much basic punch, basic uppercut, and basic kicks.
Yeah, and
Along
I think
with their special animations.
Luis has actually got on record saying he hates using those sprites.
Yeah, because...
I was gonna say, using the original Mortal Kombat sprites has always been a problem for Death Battle at times. Is the thing, because they don't like mesh well with some of the other things they're trying to do.
They really don't.
But also the Pugwork sprite for this one, I think I could have gone about this one being puppet style and regular just 2D sprite style, honestly, for Gray versus SDF.
Do they have any decent sprites?
I mean, they might, but I don't know. I'm not an animator, honestly.
Yeah, I
I mean-
wouldn't know either. I'm not as familiar with Akame ga Kill and Fairy Tail.
I mean, I guess with the Death Battle team now making their own sprites, I guess it wouldn't be too much of a problem. I guess it really matters of budget and time.
Yeah. I think that's all I have to say for Gray versus SDF if you guys want to add anything.
Well, it was an alright episode.
I mean, I
would
like-
consider it better than Sub-Zero vs. Glacius? No.
I mean, I like how Boomstick was with Esdeath. Just like, well, obsessing over her and just...
I'd
Yeah,
say
no,
that was the
we'll
only
do
episode
into that.
highlight for me.
Also, just his joke after Gray dies. News just in, male stripper found dead after crazy night with a dominatrix gone wrong.
Yeah, the humour in this episode was still good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Plus, I just
we
think
gonna...
I just think with this fight and how they use their ice powers, it lends to a more creative fight, like just creating bazookas, meteors, and all sorts of crazy stuff. Plus, I think the ice effects looked their best at the time for this fight.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Right, so should we move on to the next one?
Yes, please. There's been so many
I think so.
pauses in this fight.
Yeah, let's...
Hey,
Plus, we've got like
I got...
20 episodes to talk about, so...
Yeah, we got a lot.
Okay, so at number 18, with 15 points...
Since you wouldn't finish your food, I'm making you cough up whatever you've already eaten. Anti-matter! Looks like mild suited you best. My dish was too spicy for you.
Really?
I actually thought that would be ranked a little higher, to be honest.
I mean, for me, what kind of kills this episode is Lee's voice actor. Like, I did not enjoy it.
I have heard that from a lot of people, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
different,
I mean-
yeah, but no. Just no.
I mean, I will defend it a little bit. Like, yeah, it doesn't sound like Lee does in the actual series, but the actual delivery and energy of the character is still kind of there.
That's the thing. I didn't even think the delivery and energy for Lee was that good.
Bang.
Keep in mind, I'm also saying this just
Um,
based on what little I've seen of Naruto.
Yeah.
I mean,
Asaji voice actor was fine, honestly. That's probably one of the only highlights, personally. The soundtrack, I couldn't hear it that much, but by itself isn't too bad, honestly.
I did not really care for the soundtrack in this fight. It just sounded so basic, and it didn't really bring out the Naruto spirit or One Piece. I mean, I say that I've only watched a few episodes of One Piece, so I wouldn't know about that.
I like the rhythm it has.
I think at the end of the day, I think it's still a decent penultimate episode, especially that death and that ending quote from Sanji was pretty dope.
Yeah. Also, just how freaking badass Sanji was, not even, like, flinching at the fact his leg exploded.
He seems like a pretty chill dude.
Just wait till we get to around women and it's another story.
Yeah, isn't it like the whole joke that he can't fight women?
Yeah, he refuses to.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a thing that neutralizes his powers. If he tries to hit a woman, his powers don't work. That's what I always thought.
No, it's like a creed he made himself, like how he also doesn't use his hands to fight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I have to admit that the fact that he managed to go through that entire fight not using his fist at all was pretty great.
Well, that's what Sanji does.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
And also, as someone who used to work in retail, by the way, that dialogue cracked up some bad memories of bad customers.
Same.
Retail's a terrible life choice.
Yeah.
I have to admit, that's part of the reason why I was rooting for Sanji, just on principle.
Yeah.
As far as Rock Lee's betrayal is, I thought his character was pretty spot on, but I don't know why he did seem a bit out of character being so aggressive for some food.
Yeah, I've heard there's actually quotes from the original series about how he'll never dislike any food. So him going, I refuse to eat this, it's just it's a little weird.
I mean...
Yeah, not only that, he's not really an aggressive character. I get it. When it comes to Death Battle, it's not easy to create a scenario where the characters fight to the death. I don't know. I feel like they could have just done one with Zoro versus Ezra and just had it be a misunderstanding or something like that.
It was.
Maybe
he was wanted. It was fine storytelling with Zoro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sanji's been known to be with Zoro and the Straw Hat Pirates, so why not just have it with Rock Lee found him in the woods and decided to try and take the bounty or something. And I'd even say the 1 minute melee version had a better setup than the Death Battle one.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't have the better death, so Death Battle, you get that one.
Also, I don't think the 1 minute melee had Lee go through all of his gates super quick.
That too. The pacing was
true.
definitely very quick for this one.
Yeah, it was 5th gate open, smack. 6th gate open, smack. 7th gate open. Jesus Christ, Lee, calm down.
I think this episode kind of suffered through Spider-Gwen versus Batgirl sort of thing. They were clearly trying to finish this episode as much as they can, but at the same time, they had to get Rock Lee to use, all his gates.
Yeah.
This was also one of the episodes that was leaked, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the last one on that leak that came out. It was this, Sablewolf versus John, 7 Battle Royale, and the fact that Caboose was going to be in an episode.
Dang.
Oh, and I think maybe Flash Sonic, I can't quite remember all of it.
I was
Yeah.
actually kind of interested because I never imagined putting Rock Lee up against Sanji.
I think majority of people
This
did.
was a fight requested. Yeah, it was probably one of the most requested fights of all time when it came to Death Battle. Was
Yeah.
this one?
That's fair. Like, I don't know why, but with me, I think it's also because I haven't been exposed to One Piece as much. I always imagine Rock Lee fighting Deku.
Well,
especially
then
after
that'd be a repeat of All Might versus Might guy.
That's what I'm saying, I
Essentially,
didn't
yeah.
This is actually before that episode even came out. I was always like, oh, I'd love to see Deku versus Rock Lee. That'd be epic.
Fair.
I guess, as well at the time, Rock Lee vs. Sanji was more popular, and Deku still has a lot of development to go through.
Mm.
So, yeah, overall, I think this episode's fine, but not something I'd rank high up there. I mean, I've rewatched it a few times, but it's not really gotten my hype up anymore.
Although, can we quickly address the freaking handsome Squidward face being thrown in there?
That was funny.
A lot about me, I
mean-
can't lie.
I mean, when you have a character who can kick you in the face and make you good looking, why not?
Imagine if Sanji could charge money for that. He'd be rich.
Oh, you know what? Business opportunity for you, Sanji.
Well, maybe if he wasn't wanted for being with pirates.
Well, also, this was our first Ninja versus Pirate episode.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
true. That was always a popular debate, wasn't it? Pirates versus ninjas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was even back with Deadliest Warrior being a thing. They thought they were gonna put the ninja against the pirate, but they ended up doing ninja versus Spartan and pirate versus knight.
An interesting choice.
Hmm.
Do you have anything else to say about it?
Not much.
Then shall we move on to the next one?
Yep, let's do that. Alright, at number 17, with 16 points.
Fatality.
Okay, I know I'm gonna get so much hate, but this almost made my top 10.
You know what? I actually think this episode was good.
I did
It had the
too.
cool music.
Yeah.
It had the cool music, and it had the fight setup was pretty cool. And I will say, the death is probably one of my favorites.
I mean, the only gripe I have with this really is Sindel's sprite, but they had to use a custom Felicia sprite I think she's from Darkstalkers, right?
Yeah,
That's the
Felicia
guy
is
she's
from Darkstalkers.
Yeah, they used a custom sprite of that for Sindel, which takes a bit to get used to, but it works well with the Black Canary sprite.
I think my main gripe with the episode is actually the theme itself, actually. Because when you take apart the Scream ability, they don't really have much in common.
Mm.
So it was just more or less who could scream the loudest. Which,
Yeah.
I don't mind death battles which are kind of out there. They don't have a lot in common, but it's the theme of it, like Crash Bandicoot vs. Spyro. Not really that much in common, but the fact that PlayStation, or they were at least, attempted PlayStation mascots at the time, it makes sense why there was that rivalry. Sonic versus Mario, they're iconic. They have, a huge fan base in the video game market. Makes sense why people want to see them fight. Sindel and Black Canary. Well, I'm not a huge fan of Black Canary either, so that kind of put me off this episode a bit more as well. Sindel was my favourite, not because I'm a MILF hunter. Despite popular
Right.
belief.
I don't believe you.
No, I've always kind of liked. Fuck you. I've always found Sindel's story in the Mortal Kombat, but the original one as well, really interesting. That she was always brainwashed by Shao Kahn, and she's essentially a zombie in the majority of the story because she got killed and was being mind controlled. So there was always this very sad conflict between her daughter Katana and Sindel. And then there was this at one point she became human again. She gained her memories. But then in the reboot they kind of turned her evil. She was always an evil witch. It was like, oh, that got dark. Her fighting style was always unique to me, though. Like the fact she uses her hair to grapple onto people, and her scream, her ability to fly was pretty fun. And despite popular people, I don't think this matchup was a stomp.
You don't think the match
taking
was
it-
what?
A stomp. I don't think it was
Oh.
a stomp at all. Obviously, when
What's
you
funny
count
is
in
that-
like
There were some things that Death Battle proved me wrong when I was thinking about this. Like, I thought that Black Canary was stronger than Sindel. No, turns out Sindel was stronger than Black Canary.
I think
As far as
Sindel
like raw
had a lot.
strength goes.
Yeah, like Sindel had a lot going for her, but it's the fact that Black Canary was pretty resilient and her shout was way tougher than Sindel's. And
Yep.
if you're part of the DC universe and you're part of the Justice League, I guess you kind of have to be.
Yeah. Also, shout out to this episode for explaining to me how decibels work.
Yeah, that's one of the things that put this episode pretty up high for me was the decibel explanation and how I thought it was interesting to compare the power of their screams, actually, with numbers.
Yeah, and I will admit that the analysis part was actually interesting. The fact they had to go so in depth to how powerful their screams would have to be to shatter mountains and people and stuff like that. I never took it into account. I always just assumed, oh, big loud shouts, enough force would just burst a human. I knew the basic things, like how much force it would take to explode a human if hit by a shockwave. They went into a bit more detail there, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Impressive. I definitely looked at it a bit of a dumb way. What do you think of it, mate?
Yeah, I thought it was an alright episode. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can really say. Just, it was an alright episode, and I like how it explained decibels.
I can imagine a majority of the episodes leading up to our top 3 or top 5. It's mostly going to be we thought these episodes were okay.
Well, because we have them so different on our list normally. Like I said earlier, Black Canary versus Sindel almost made my top 10.
It's still a good episode. I definitely rewatch it a few times. Shall we move on to, is it 16 now?
Yep.
Let us hear number 16, my mate.
Alright. With a score of 20,
I am the Fire Lord. I will win this for my honor.
Apologies.
Ah, yes. It was good when it came out, but going back to it, it was just alright.
I mean, if you saw my opinions on it when it first came out, I was not that much of a fan of it, to be honest. I thought it was kind of mediocre at best.
One thing that does help this episode is Dante Bosco. That
Yes.
definitely helps this episode a bit.
I also think the last bit of the soundtrack when Shoto went Go Beyond and there was that epic, like, heavy metal bit.
oh, that's
that was pretty kick-ass.
that's pure My Hero.
Yeah.
And I do say the death was the one that made me actually flinch. Like the fact that I don't think there's been a death this season that's made me go, "Oh Jesus!" Like I knew, like I could tell Zuko was going to get like stabbed with an icicle or something like that. But the fact it went through his stomach to his chest to his mouth, I was like, "Bloody hell!"
It didn't actually go through his mouth. It just went through his
It went-
chest, and then it just flash froze him, and even froze the blood that came out of his
It
mouth.
looks like it goes through his mouth as well every time I watch it. Even then, like he's not dead instantly. Like that's a slow and painful death. Unfortunate for you, Zuko.
Yeah, although, talking of the death, just pinned down like that and literally fighting until his last breath.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's one hell of a way to go. And you're probably going to groan when I say this, but Zuko, you died with honor.
So
Also,
now
my
that we
fa-
talked, what kind of made this episode just all right for you guys?
Mate, you go first, because
Well,
there's a bit I want to say about it, and it's mostly negative.
well, the sprites are a little odd to me.
For
They-
both characters, because Shoto's was okay.
Yeah, Shadow's was okay. Zuko's, like, it was alright. But they just look really stiff in motion.
Yeah,
And-
that's my main gripe of this episode. Their movements do not look as fluent as it is in their shows. Even in the analysis, Zuko looked like he moved with grace in all his fights.
Yeah, and
And
there's
this one, he
that,
was moving like Robocop.
and there's that moment when they're just throwing fire at each other, and it gets, like, really dark. Like, it's not a deal breaker, that scene, but it's just a little, like, okay, that's an odd choice. But things that do put this episode up for me, that whole "he's just like me" moment.
Yeah.
Also, the cabbage merchant. Please let him occur in every Avatar episode.
No, my cabbages! Do you know, even though I've not watched Avatar, people say I do a good voice of that guy.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm just like, really? You're telling me I could do a good... No, my cabbages! Like, it's not that much of a hard voice to do. But I
Let's
wouldn't
get
say I'm
Bill his
even
own
anywhere
cabbage
close.
stand.
And then we'll
Dreamer,
destroy
if you're
it.
watching this, Dreamer, if you're watching this, you ever need me to make a cameo for the cabbage guy, hit me up.
But
And you know what? If
we
you ever
talked about the
need,
good earlier with
if you ever need a Zoidberg cameo where he's just eating the cabbages, boom, there you go. That's how you work it in.
Oh, we're bringing Zoidberg back into this.
I'm just saying I can somehow do a voice according to you guys.
Hooray! That's all I
So-
can do when it comes to Zoidberg.
Yeah. Oh, although I've just remembered, there's that one like hand-drawn scene with Shoto. Like-
which one? There was a decent amount of hand-drawn stuff. You're talking about with the fire and ice combination thingy towards the end.
The one where Zuko gets pinned and then you see that hand-drawn thing. It looks kind of out of place to me.
A little, yeah.
And kind of like they were trying to implement like a JoJo thing for some reason, and
JoJo.
it just doesn't work for me here.
Yeah.
But it's only on screen for very little time, so I can look past that.
Makes sense.
Is that everything
We
about
make
this
pretty
episode we want to talk about, or?
Well,
I was
I
going to
can
go next, but
I can also mention how it kind of started the whole me apparently being able to see the future.
That episode.
you can predict people who will be imposters in Among Us, and you can predict who would win a death battle.
No, it's not who
Yeah.
will win a death battle. It's apparently just matchups that will happen.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that too.
God damn it.
I was mostly asking Mate that question earlier because, like, we were talking about all the good stuff. What made this episode kind of mad? I was trying to figure out what made it bad for you guys personally.
I mean, everything, mate, pretty much said pretty much everything I have to say about this episode, so I don't really think there's anything else I can add to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is a bad episode. It's just, it's just not as good as the others.
Could have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I also feel like the analysis parts of this episode were not funny at all. Like, I don't remember at any point if I chuckled, and if your analysis bores me, you got a problem there. So that's all I have to say, really.
I have nothing more to add, I'm afraid.
Alright, so moving on to number 15.
Yeah.
Alright, with a score of 23.
We are the darkness. We are your nightmare. We are Venom.
I hate you.
Okay.
I do feel like that episode should be higher, to be honest. 'Cause that was a really good episode.
They put it at number 15. And because this just felt like Carnage versus Lucy. Again. Only I enjoyed Carnage versus Lucy a lot more than this.
Same. Also, funny enough,
I'm actually the opposite.
Carnage was another highly requested opponent for Krona. But they opted for Venom because they realized, it would just be Carnage versus Lucy again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's with Carnage getting all the anime chicks with pink hair?
Well...
I don't think Kronos has ever been identified as a girl or a guy, actually.
Right.
Like, hasn't it always been, like, a secret? Like,
yeah,
we'll never know.
Kronos are they.
Okay.
And I like
the good
how...
thing about this episode...
I like how Deathfell always stuck to that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But apparently that wasn't always the case. Apparently there was at one point they accidentally let a she out, and they had to quickly fix that in the recording.
Yeah, it's human error, plus, it happens.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen, like, their reaction to that. Like, I don't know, I'm just picturing, like... I think it was Chad who accidentally said she. I'm picturing Ben just giving him the... You got it wrong, Chad. You know the face I'm talking about when it comes to Ben. Like, he gives the you fucked up face. That's what I've always kind of find funny about Ben Singer is that he has the most evilest yet friendliest expression ever.
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean, right?
I think I do.
He's also a lovely guy to talk
He
to.
can look sinister.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, when we were recording this podcast, when it was me, Richard, and Jaru, and which was probably the worst podcast we ever recorded in all my channel's history. There's a reason that was deleted.
Don't get me started about editing that.
I felt so sorry for you when I saw the edited version. I was like,
don't get me
sure,
started.
Only you did. What's the sad thing?
Don't get me started about watching it.
Yeah, you're not the only one, mate. In fact, that episode was probably, or at least that video had the most dislikes I've ever had on my channel. I think before I deleted it, there was 15 dislikes. I was like, well, on the plus side, at least more people came to my channel to watch.
Yeah, but going back to Venom vs. Krona for a second here.
Yeah, back on
One of the
topic.
best highlights, obviously, Ragnarok, hands down, highlight of this episode.
Yeah, I was actually segueing my way to that. Yeah, what I did like about this episode, one, I was excited to see Venom, and I was also looking forward to seeing a new franchise in Death Battle, Soul Eater. Couldn't get hooked into that series. I did actually try and watch at least the first episode the other day. I could not get into it. It was pretty boring, but I did go on YouTube to watch all of Ragnarok's lines. He is hands down my favorite character. And I still love the "wake up, stupid" line.
I hope
Besides
someone
Ragnarok-
has that as their alarm.
If they don't, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Like we said on the podcast, like I need that, but I also need to be punched by Ragnarok at the same time. The amount of editing I would get through would be great if I just had someone punch me to wake me up. They also get the actor who played as Venom in Venom vs. Bane back.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I think he got to
he
do
sounded-
way better here.
That's what I was literally about to say. Like he sounded more like Venom than how he did in Venom vs. Bane. Don't get me wrong, Venom vs. Bane is a personal favorite of mine. One, I love Bane and I love Venom, so that was perfect to watch. The death was brutal. It was just that Venom's voice sounded more like 19 Spider-Man cartoon Carnage, rather than the growly sort of Venom that we've grown accustomed to. I feel like the actor redeemed it here.
Yeah.
Ragnarok's actor. After I was watching the montage of Ragnarok, going back to this death battle, I was like, wow, this actor nailed this character.
Just wish he got to do more.
Yeah.
I know, man. I'll gladly watch this actor's channel if he just spoke everything as Ragnarok. Imagine him doing the Let's Play series as Ragnarok. I would watch that every day.
That's something I've always wondered with voice actors, just like imagining them starting up a Let's Play channel, but as their character. How would that go?
Actually, do you know what? There were in XCOM 2, the epic voice guy who does the honest trailers actually did do a Let's Play of XCOM 2 as the spokesman voice. It was pretty. He even shouted himself out just like in the game.
Yeah,
that
was great.
I'll try and leave a link to those videos because those were hilarious. I get what you mean. Like, we need more act. Like, imagine Goku's English dub actor Sean. How do you pronounce his last name?
Shamel.
I always fuck it up. Yeah, if he done like his Goku voice doing it when he was fighting Chris Bart, that would have been amazing. That's all I have to say about this episode. You know, Ragnarok, he stole the show, and I love seeing Venom again.
Yeah.
I'd also
That hand-drawn Soul Eater Moon was really creepy.
Yeah.
I've seen creepier.
Oh no, if we're talking about hand-drawn creepy stuff, that moment where Ragnarok eats the symbiote and Eddie's souls.
Yeah.
They're just a
This
sound
is gonna be a
effect.
creepy episode.
They're just a sound effect on the mouth opening and stuff. Just.
Ugh.
How to gross up you early, mate.
Surprisingly easy.
It was. Yeah, it's creepy, but in a good way.
Yeah, and that stare that like Krona gives at the end.
Yeah. I feel like what kind of makes this episode kind of lower is the death was kind of sudden.
Yeah, and I've seen
And
complaints, like, it's weird to have Venom just go, like, talk himself up and say, "We are Venom," and then just immediately die.
Plus Venom flying.
I think
That
this
was
is also-
bizarre.
No, that's the thing he does.
Yeah.
It felt bizarre, like seeing it animated, though.
Yeah, but that is
In
another
fact, I think
thing
this
that
is-
makes me like this episode above Venom vs. Bane, because it showcases a lot more of Venom's abilities.
Yeah, I think this is actually one of the episodes where a majority of people actually do agree Venom should have won.
Oh, yeah, that, what's that comic run that everyone was talking about when this episode was coming out?
I can't remember. I never actually did read any more Venom comics for a while. But anything that's happening with Venom modern era, I have no idea. Also, I'm not sure you guys can hear there. My little French bulldog's having an argument with a dog outside.
I can hear that, actually.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think they also agree with this episode that Venom should have won.
And, like, one of the other reasons I kind of prefer Carnage vs. Lucy over this is that soundtrack for Carnage vs. Lucy compared to Venom vs. Krona stands out a lot more.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, there wasn't an instance in Venom vs. Krona where the soundtrack stood out, whereas in Carnage vs. Lucy, when Carnage does It's Raining song to part of that soundtrack, it really stands out.
Yeah. And I also think Carnage had the best one-liner to go out on.
I hate you.
They brought that back in this episode as well. Only this time it was
Yeah, they
Krona
had
saying
Krona
it.
say it though. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Carnage death was, and even the face Carnage made before he died was pretty funny. So in saying that, I do think this episode was better than Carnage versus Lucy. Just the only thing I say Carnage versus Lucy has over this episode is Carnage's one-liner and music.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it, mate?
Yeah, I liked it. Like, it's most of what I can really say about this episode, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Shall we move on to number 14?
Yep. All right. With a score of 24.
You're finished! That's what power really looks like.
Oh, higher than I expected.
Yeah, do you know, I feel it deserves to be on that, a bit higher up on this list.
Yeah,
I have it at 19.
Billy, I feel like me and you are in a minority that enjoy this episode more.
I think the problem with this for me was going back on it, the models weren't great at times. Like, they were noticeably not the best.
You know, people say that, but I disagree. I think the models for She-Ra and Wonder Woman in this episode looked really good, especially since they weren't like ripped from any game or anything. No, these were handmade by. These were also handmade by new teammates, I believe.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The fight choreography was good. My only complaint about the episode is that and I even mentioned this on the podcast I did with Richard and Jaru, I do kind of wish we did get to see She-Ra ride, what's her horse's name again? I forget.
Frick. Is it Swiftwind?
That's it. Yeah, I kind of wish we saw She-Ra.
What do you mean,
like
Crystal
that.
Sundancer?
I kind of wish we saw She-Ra ride a Swiftwing while Wonder Woman was flying and fighting with swords. I feel like if they had something like that, that would have made this episode a bit more memorable for more people. But because the characters were so flightless in this fight, which definitely did not fit, especially with a character like Wonder Woman, like it just felt weird seeing her just fight on the ground the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm. I also kind of wish this episode was a bit longer, considering this was the mid-season finale.
Yeah, that's the other thing
I can agree with that.
Yeah, but I will say, like, compared to like Ford versus Wonder Woman and the infamous Rogue versus Wonder Woman, this was definitely the best one out of the three.
Yep. I will say I like the build-up to the death. Just, you know, Wonder Woman's blocking all of She-Ra's strikes, but then She-Ra does the impossible and breaks Wonder Woman's bracelets. And
then she loses her head for it.
Yeah, but for a moment you're just like, oh crap, she broke the bracelets! And then you're just like, oh, she broke the bracelets.
Yeah.
And then God mode.
You are dead. Not big surprise.
Nice. I also do say the death was pretty. It shocked me to have seen She-Ra die like that. I think as well, I've watched a lot of the Netflix She-Ra, and I'm not expected to see a character get like so brutally killed. Just seeing She-Ra's head just go popping off like that after getting slashed, I was like, "Whoa! I did not see that coming."
I will just quickly throw out there, if this were Netflix She-Ra, oof.
You know, after our last discussion, I was kind of thinking, like, I wonder who would win between Netflix She-Ra versus DC Animated Universe Wonder Woman.
Okay, that might be fairer.
In fact, you know what, this episode as well is a lot more even than people say. I mean, She-Ra is no slouch. You know, she has the strength of He-Man, and hell, He-Man had to push a moon where She-Ra managed to kick it and get it moving. I think it was just that her speed was lacking. That's what really ultimately was her demise.
Yeah, it's
and
just
the fact her weaponry.
Yeah, it's just Wonder Woman was like insanely faster, and she had that atom slicing sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Wonder Woman's arsenal was pretty damn broken. And if you're a character that can keep up with the Reverse Flash, it's good luck trying to find a character to outmatch you in speed. But yeah, this episode doesn't deserve to. A lot of people rank this to being the worst Wonder Woman death battle, and I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't think this is the worst Wonder Woman episode, but it's definitely not one of my favorites out of this season.
And I would also say, even though it's Wonder Woman's third returning matchup, I'm a bit more okay with it, 'cause unlike another Death Battle that's coming out, at least this wasn't a throwaway episode to give a certain character a win. It was like, oh, these two are actually pretty strong and everything else. Who would actually win?
Plus, I think She-Ra was probably the better choice, even though, yeah, seeing Kratos again would have been kind of cool. I don't think Kratos would have done better than She-Ra did, honestly.
No. People say
From
Kratos
what
is
I know, no.
Like, people say, oh, Kratos is multi-galaxy level. We've never seen that. I'm just saying that. From every one of the God of Wars I've played, I've never seen that once.
Yeah. But besides that, I think the reason I'm not a fan of the models as much as other people is this was one of the reviews I edited for Richard, and he sent me screenshots to use, so I got a closer look at them, like when they're still. And it's just like, yeesh, that neck.
Is that all we have to say about this episode? I mean, I've said all my piece about it.
I mean, I guess.
I'm good.
Oh, actually, I will just say, if 3 times is the limit, would you say you'd be content with calling this Wonder Woman's last Death Battle?
Yes.
Yes. I definitely think, compared to Thor versus Wonder Woman, this is the episode I would have preferred her to go out on, not on... Okay, I understand why that episode was the way it is, but my goodness, it looked so unfinished that it's hard to actually enjoy the fight. The only bit I'll say was the most enjoyable of Thor versus Wonder Woman was the tornado bit with the music. That scene is so cool to watch. But then after that, it just becomes... It looks like it was made in Gmod.
Oof.
I was just waiting for Wonder Woman to come out with a crowbar. And a little gravity gun. And people who play Gmod will get that. Don't worry, mate.
Alright, so...
Shall we move on to whatever number's next? I haven't been keeping track.
Number 13.
I think we're on 13.
And with a score of 26...
I really wish it was 37.
Wait. Didn't Wonder Woman versus She-Ra also get 26?
No, that got 24.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so... Next we have...
Get out! D to the A to the N and Y. This dragon's got claws and waits to fly. But I'm still better than this other guy. Hey, what? Whoa! Time's up, pal.
Really?
That's understandable, actually.
This almost made my top 5.
I actually don't have much to say about this episode. I wasn't a huge Danny Phantom fan. In fact, it wasn't even that popular when I was growing up as a kid.
That explains that.
I never watched American Dragon, so I couldn't really care that Jake lost. The only thing I can really say I enjoyed about this fight was the death. It was unique, even though it was... At first I was going to dislike it, because, it was so quick at how he got killed. But then the moment he became a ghost, he's all confused and then gets sucked into the vacuum. I was like, alright, you know what? You get a point for creativity on that death.
Yeah, I like how that was implemented.
And that's all I have. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. The fight itself was pretty entertaining to watch. I'd imagine this is how most of the fights go for their TV series, but...
Yeah, and I also like how the sprites kind of capture the look of them in their TV shows, and they actually mesh together pretty well. So, yeah, well, props to the sprite artist for that.
So, I really like this episode. Here's the thing. Yes, I enjoyed Danny Phantom, but I did not watch a lot of American Dragon, and I still thought that the actress who played Jake Long did a really great job capturing Jake Long.
Oh, definitely.
And then, of course, you got Nick playing Danny, and he did pretty good.
So good that...
Of course, he got his first win. Yeah.
Yeah, not only did he get his first win, but he got shouted out by Butch Hartman.
Butch Hartman.
The guy who created the character he voiced.
Yeah, that was really cool, because at the time, Butch Hartman kind of hyped this episode up, too. And he even did a reaction to it. And this was still a really good episode.
Yeah. And,
I do have to say that
in terms of like voice
Actually, do you
acting,
wanna say?
I don't think there's a higher praise you can give a voice actor in Death Battle than just having the creator of the character say, "Oh yeah, you were good." So
I probably should. I mean, I'm not sure this is important much. People, our opinions on Butch Hartman, we don't really care of think of him. We're just giving praise to the fact the actual creator was given praise to one of the voice actors of Death Battle.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's
please don't
all
bring
I'm
any
saying.
Butch Hartman. Do not bring any Butch Hartman drama in the comments. We could not give two shits.
Right. But
As far as
what makes
I've
this...
seen Twitter lately.
That is true. Also, I'm pretty sure this is our second cartoon versus cartoon fight since Samurai versus Afro.
Well, no, that was cartoon versus anime.
Right, Afro Samurai was the anime. That's the thing I keep forgetting.
I'm just trying to think. Has there actually been another episode where it was just cartoon versus cartoon?
Rainbow Dash versus Starscream.
Right.
But really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
forgot.
with Starscream, they based it off of a lot of the original Transformers show.
I mean, but the original Transformers show was an anime.
Was it? I thought it was a cartoon. Like, made in America.
Pretty sure it was an anime.
Technicality of that aside, this was still great to see two cartoons get represented. And we had
Yeah.
Nickelodeon versus Disney. I mean, come on.
I feel like there should definitely be more Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon and Marvel versus DC.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I
Like,
mean, with how good this episode did, then it leaves the door open for more Western animated characters.
I mean, hell, I'll be down for seeing SpongeBob versus Gumball. Or SpongeBob versus Jake or Finn from Adventure Time.
I'd be down for seeing a Shaolin Showdown character.
yes.
Oh my goodness, I love Shaolin Showdown. Oh, I need to find the DVD so I can binge them while I'm in lockdown.
You know, I was thinking about like that idea, and like you could have them fight over a Shengon Wu, like do all this creative stuff with the fight set, and instead of fight, have it start with Gongi Tenpai.
And then the
That'd be
person
cool.
goes like, "Wait, what?" And then gets sucker punched. That would be great.
You know what? I've never actually seen the finale to that series.
Oh, really?
I think the last episode I saw was when the little bald kid, I always forget his name, became a
Omi.
cat, and that's the last episode I ever saw.
Wow, you missed like an entire season then.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I think where I got introduced to so many other different cartoons, Shaolin Showdown just slipped through my mind.
I won't
Oh,
spoil
man,
how it
some point.
ends.
But at some point, I need to just binge the entire series, especially if they bring one of those characters into Death Battle. That's going to give me more motivation.
Fair. Anyway, back to Danny v. Jake.
Yeah, man, we need to talk about Shaolin Showdown. At some point.
Right. The abilities they had also meshed really nicely when they were fighting each other. Like the clone segment, the tornado, Danny possessing Jake with that hand-drawn element. I had a fun time with this episode, and it's still a fun watch to go back to. A lot of the times. The only thing that would probably make this in my top 5 was if I got to hear the soundtrack a bit more. That's really it.
I think where there was a lot of dialogue in this fight, they kind of had to lower the music's volume as much. These guys are known for quips and stuff like that. They're basically the modern era of Spider-Man.
Especially season 1, Jake Long. Oh my god, those old lines that he said.
You know, actually, Nick did comment under my video saying this is actually pretty accurate to how most kids from that era spoke.
Yeah, it is.
So you can't exactly fault them for inaccuracy.
I'm not faulting them at all. It's just cringe.
Listen, every single child was cringe at some point. We were cringe at some point.
Can confirm.
I know, that's the sad thing.
It's sad to look back on, but we were all cringe.
Well, you know what?
Like, if we were born in this generation,
You know what? If I
we
can
would've been in
quote,
Fortnite.
if I can quote Ren from Ruby, you know that desire that you have to go back and tell yourself not to do something stupid or that regret that you feel, it shows you're not that person anymore. And you're still not done growing.
I mean, to be fair,
I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
Cringe. I embraced that I was a cringy kid. So at least with funny moments, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that stupid thing. That was hilarious.
I think I've gotten everything I want to say about Danny versus Jake out of the way.
Alright, so do we move on to number 12?
Oh wait, did you say anything about this episode?
I think I said what I wanted to.
Alright, fair enough. Let's move on to whatever number.
Okay, so number 12 with a score of 27.
12.
You stupid. All I gotta do is... What? Plasma coil. If you hadn't noticed, this electric biz is kind of my thing. Aw, man! That was tough.
Okay.
I thought that would have been actually much higher. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it depends on where we all put it on our list, but the season premiere got pretty high on this list, honestly, and I'm okay with that. It came out at a time when Miles got really relevant, and then they decided to bring back an old 2000s character, as far as like the show was for Static.
Yeah, and honestly, I
was actually really happy they didn't go with Miles versus Deku.
Well, it would have been just after All Might versus Might Guy, so...
I don't think that really would matter as much.
Yeah. I remember when this got announced, people were questioning a little bit why they chose Static Shock to fight Miles.
Yeah, well, I think...
So much in common.
I think the Death Battle team did confirm they might do Miles versus Deku one day. It's just... Yeah, Deku's got some development to go through, so they're waiting on that.
I don't really like Deku versus Miles, really. I get the theme of it, but I don't know. I feel like Deku has another opponent he could go up against.
Right, and this was also the... I was gonna say, this was the third Marvel vs. DC premiere we had in a row. And out of all of them, this was probably the best one.
I would agree with that.
If you want to talk technical, Static Shock isn't really a DC character. It's just that he's owned by DC now.
He got bought out by DC, so technically he's owned by DC.
Yeah, but, you know, Iron Man's not a Disney character, so I'm just saying.
Well, and then they have a thing in the comics where, like, the universes kind of merged.
I mean,
yeah, that was a thing like Static Show too, where he got to meet the Justice League, and he fought the Justice League.
Yeah, I've seen this clip on Twitter where he's with Batman and Joker's like asking for a hand up, but he has that electric buzzer.
Scene.
Static doesn't even feel it, and he's like, "My turn." Just shocks the Joker and knocks him out.
It's just like, oh, what a neat trick. Let me try.
Went ahead and watched that show after the Death Battle. My goodness, Static Shock is an underrated character, man.
Yeah, and now he's kind of come back into the limelight because of this episode.
Yeah, like he had a really good cartoon, and he got relevance again, so that's really what helped this episode. Plus, the soundtrack was really great, and this was by JT Music, as they go by now, who are a popular music brand and normally make video game related songs.
I love their tracks, man. Like, my favorite one they've made is Pyro vs. May rap battle. My goodness, mate, if you've not seen that, you need to watch it. It's so good.
I prefer Junkrat versus Demo Man personally, but that's a topic for another day.
I will say, I do like What's Up Danger, but
yeah, that was creative.
I'm not too sure how I feel about it as the backing track in the episode itself.
Oh, I thought it was a good track, man.
Like, it's a good track. It's just like in terms of like a background death battle track.
I mean, I liked it for what it was, for sure. And then as far as like the fight itself, we got more of Death Battle City. We got interaction at the beginning where Miles confuses Static for, what was his name, Electro?
Or just more than one electric psychopath to keep track of.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Surprisingly, I remember when people were talking about this episode, a majority of people said Miles was going to win, so I kind of assumed, I kind of went with Static Shock because I'm one of those people that sometimes likes to go against the popular belief. And when Static Shock actually won, I was like,
that might F you
totally
over in the bet that you made.
I no longer, since we've done the bet, I'm not thinking like that anymore.
Coward.
Well, here's the thing. They thought Miles was going to win because everyone overhyped the Spider Sense. They thought it was going to be enough to bring Static down. Whereas my question was Miles' stuff poisonous? Because that can hurt Static.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I do kind of wish was like improved in post-analysis is just like they mention Electro and how, oh yeah, all the other Spider-Man fight him all the time. And they don't bring up any feats, they just say, oh yeah, Electro pales in comparison, and he's an idiot.
Oh, that's true.
Well,
Electro doesn't really do much in terms of power. Like, if
but what I'm saying, if you're just a casual like viewer, and yeah, you've seen Electro in stuff, but not like you don't read the comics or anything. Maybe like having a feat showcase and just as an example probably would have been good.
Alright, do you want to know what is Electro's best feat? And I'll literally tell you right now.
Sure.
Yeah,
blowing up an oil truck.
Really?
Static managed to... Yeah, that's literally his best feat. So if you compare... And that was in one of the video games. So in the comics, he's not done anything that impressive. That's what people tend to forget. He could even be beaten... Spider-Man first beat him when he had just literally a rubber glove. And you know, that's even referenced in the PS4 Spider-Man game. And in that universe, that's how Spider-Man beat him as well. So Electro's not really that powerful. That's why when they said like, "Oh, Electro pales in comparison," I was like, "That's a good point." Because it was funny. Because even at that point, I was like, "Oh, he's not Electro. I mean, come on." And then the moment they brought up he's pales, I was like, "Okay, yeah, fair point. Given what Static's done, like, imagine if they did compare his oil truck feat to Static Shock's like feats."
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that would have painted a clearer picture.
Right. On a more positive note with this episode as well, this was the first time we had a puppet-style animation for the sprites. And then, of course, if you're a fan of Into the Spider-Verse, they definitely gave that kind of vibe as well during this animation, for sure, with some of the visual effects.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And the dialogue. Yeah.
Also, I like how they actually
even
implemented
shoulder
the...
touch.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, were you about to say that?
Yeah.
Sorry, you were cutting out for me, so I thought it was going quiet again, so I thought I'd speak up.
That's fine. The recording will hear my dialogue fine anyway.
Yeah. And I think my favorite scene in that animation itself was when Static loses his arm, and then it's just like, whoop, reattach.
Oh, that was the most badass bit of that episode. You could just tell Static was getting serious there.
I mean, that's why I have this at like number 10. I think it's a good comparison point for the rest of the episodes. Like, how does it compare to this? Because it did a lot of things right, and it was about average, honestly, when you look at some of the later episodes.
It was a good warm-up, though, for the season.
Yeah.
So what number are we on
Exactly.
We are on number 11. And at number 11,
now?
with a
And
score...
what doesn't make it into the top 10?
Well, with a score of 31...
That was
goes bonkers.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was surprised
I feel
too.
like
Okay.
that I feel like that definitely deserves to be in the top 10. So
I mean, I have it at 13 personally.
the soundtrack for that, the fight choreography, and the final bit at the end was epic. I cannot believe this did not make it into the top 10.
So good. And
I think this was also the first Power Ranger episode where we actually see the actual Ranger fight.
yeah, we finally get to see a Ranger
yeah.
without their Zord.
And hey, at least Power Rangers actually got an episode where they win, which surprisingly was without their Zords.
Well, I mean, with their Zords, they keep getting paired up against these absurd mechs.
Yeah,
Mechagodzilla, Voltron, Epion.
and to be fair, Power Rangers are pretty strong in their own case. I mean, Tommy Oliver managed to take a beating from a villain who became giant once. Straight up smacked him back down to earth, and Tommy Oliver just took it as like an ouch. Power Rangers are definitely a lot more... They're more durable than they are physically powerful, I think.
Yeah. I think for me, what kind of puts this off is Jason's sprites before he becomes a Red Ranger. I know it's from like the old video game, but I'm just not that big into it, honestly.
Also, where's his
When they did the
face?
close-up when he's...
Exactly.
When they did the close-up when he was running, that just looked so weird. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Though, I will
Go
say...
back to the sprite.
I will say I freaking love the setup for it. We're just like, yeah, they run into each other. Oh, sorry about that. One of Rhea's monsters! Wait, who? Just deck in the face.
Who? Yeah.
Like,
Speaking of, like,
that's
actor, though, we were
perfect.
talking about this with Danny versus Jake, but I'm pretty sure Austin St. John gave Kagi praise for playing the Red Ranger.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Austin St.
Oh.
John did a reaction video to this.
Oh, you guys
You
need
have to
link
pay
that.
for
I
it,
want to
though.
check that out.
Oh, no, here's the thing, Billy. You want to watch it?
Oh,
Prepare to pay £50.
oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, I haven't watched it
But-
because, like, you know, just...
Why would I pay £50 to see a man react to something?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not as bad as
No
putting
offense
it
to-
behind a $1,000 paywall.
Oh, good point.
This was also kind of cool because you got to see a detail where Miles and Static fought, but you had to really look for it.
Oh, yeah, the dent in the building was in the background of this fight as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. So while Static and Miles were fighting, just a mutant turtle and a teenager were fighting in the street. And people said the Marvel Cinematic Universe was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if we have all the death battles taking place in the same universe, then how do you explain characters coming back?
I mean, there was at one point the Power Rangers versus Ultron did reference the Pokemon vs Digimon death battle.
I'm pretty sure it did.
True. It was in the same canyon
still
they
in the
fought at, though.
And one of them like, alright, I think this is where the presence of those dinosaur creatures were.
Exactly.
So they were actually looking for the Digimon and Pokemon.
Oh, you know what? Okay, fair enough. But, yeah. Alright, so back on...
They mistook the Power Rangers.
So, this was Leonardo's third time in Death Battle, and he lost, unfortunately.
Well, it's also the first time that a turtle lost a death battle. Not counting the Battle Royale.
I mean, yeah, you gotta not count that.
Yeah.
But the ending for Jason winning with Leonardo exploding afterwards was pretty nice.
That was pure Power Rangers. Just explode because why not?
Yeah.
I also kind of like it was kind of like a firecrackers, just pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I'm still not-
kind of messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I get
It was-
super
it was
giddy
kind of
of?
messed up, but comedic.
You know what I get super giddy of every single time? So, with the soundtrack, when Jason transforms, going, it's morphin' time, you hear the dun 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 dun, like, in the soundtrack.
I think they
And what-
made it feel so 8-bit with the soundtrack.
Yeah, and then when Leonardo's saying that's total power, you even hear the da 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 da, like the heroes in a half shell.
Turtle power.
I'm just like, okay, I'm not even a big TMNT fan, but it was just like, they put the thing in there.
The soundtrack is definitely the highlight for this, but especially on the last bit when Leonardo screams cowabunga and the beat really starts kicking off. You're just waiting for the final clash. You could put that little beat over any final clash, and it would be epic.
Yeah. But it helps that, like this one, in a pretty decent way. I think for me, what kind of puts this episode a little bit lower than others is I'm still not a fan of like the newest TMNT and how they included that in the analysis. Like, that's just me personally.
I think that's I don't know, a bit of a weird criticism for it, if I have to be honest.
Oh, it's a minor one, honestly. Besides that, Jesus Christ, give Jason a face with that sprite.
I mean, you'll have to talk to the guys who made his game.
Yeah.
That was the thing about old school sprites, like, some of them will just either just put little white dots on their heads, just be like, yeah, there's the eyes. And you just have to accept it. At least it's a lot better than what E.T.'s original sprite looks like. Ugh.
Oh god.
They eat your soul.
I think besides that, the soundtrack was 8-bit, which is kind of nice, and yay for a Power Rangers win. Boy, they can get a win with their Zords now. That would be nice.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I can confirm Power Rangers would beat Genlock.
Like, the one thing I wanted about Power Rangers.
Good point.
One thing I wanted a Power Rangers episode is for them to use both the Ranger and their swords in a fight. Like, that would make the perfect Power Rangers episode, regardless of who wins or loses. And that's all I really have left to say about Leonardo versus Jason.
Alright, so we get to move on to the top 10.
Yes. Let's start it off with number 10.
And with a score,
Hooray!
with a score of 32.
Oh boy,
Really?
I was wondering when we would get to this.
Yeah, and
Wow, that's...
No.
I thought that would be in top 5.
no, you know what? I want to call Sean out for this. He put this at number 18.
Yeah. What? I did not like this episode's idea at all.
Wow, man. Sean, you're fired.
Plus,
Shame.
for the first Mortal Kombat character to get a 3D episode, it's freaking Goro. Really?
What's wrong with Goro? He's bad.
I feel like there are other characters that deserve a 3D spot, like Kenshi, for example. Yeah, he did a 3D episode with Daredevil and DBX, but that was still amazing.
No, Sean, you give Goro respect. He was the very first boss in Mortal Kombat before you fought the final boss, and he was tough as shit. He deserves to have a 3D fight. In fact, he's been in Mortal Kombat for decades. Until Mortal Kombat 11. But that's beside the point. Like, that man, thing, whatever, deserves the respect. And he deserves a 3D fight.
I'm saying that I probably would have
didn't
chosen a
deserve to
different
die that
character.
way.
I would have chosen a different character to become the first 3D Mortal Kombat character, personally.
And that's why you don't work on Death Battle.
But besides that, I wasn't that big
Just
into
because
this
he doesn't
idea.
respect
Like
Goro.
when this episode got announced, I wasn't big into this idea, honestly. Like, I didn't understand the appeal of it when it was a thing, because this was a requested episode since like day one of Death Battle, and then as time went on, Pokemon got better, and Pokemon is still going on.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm bigging up Goro, yet in the end, I was rooting for Machamp at the end of the day.
I think most people were.
Yeah. Like, imagine how different this fight would have been if this was actually in one of the earlier seasons.
Oof.
I actually think Goro would have probably won, in all honesty. So I'm actually kind of glad that. Well, I can't say really I'm glad because with Pokemon, there's a few Pokemon that don't really get a power boost until later generations, which is kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
Characters like Mewtwo and Pikachu were kind of already, well, anime Pikachu were kind of overpowered the moment they set foot in the universe.
Another thing I'm not that huge on with this episode that other people are is the soundtrack. By itself, I'm not that big onto it.
I think the soundtrack's pretty catchy.
Yeah, the soundtrack's fucking awesome.
Mixture of
I'm
Mortal
not
Kombat
into
and
big
Pokemon.
personally.
Yeah, like, you know, it has my favorite champion theme in there. Like, when you fight Lance and Red in the Gen 2 games.
Did Lance even have a champ on his team?
No, he did
No, I
not.
think that was
And what's the point of mixing it with Lance?
Because it's a fucking epic tune, mate.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless
Knock on
though,
my front door.
just FBI, open up!
Oh, I think it's Machamp coming to beat me up.
Oh dear.
But that brings me to my favorite part about this episode. I do like one thing about it. Machamp's voice actor.
Oh, yeah. And, God, just the fact they got a voice actor in only to say Machamp.
Yes.
I
Can you imagine if they
love
got
that.
the most Can you imagine if they got the most expensive actor in Hollywood? Like they got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just to say Machamp.
Oh, God.
You bring one of the most biggest names in Hollywood just to say Machamp. That would have been epic.
Yeah. That's probably the only highlight of this episode for me was the... I'm sorry, I gotta check out who's at my front door.
You do that, me and Billy will talk about this episode. Okay, I'm gonna be real. This episode had no right to be as good as it is. Just,
Yeah, I feel like
holy
this
crap,
episode
I love
truly-
it so much.
I feel like this episode should have actually been the mid-season finale, given how good it was.
You know what? Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like you said, to be fair, this was meant to be the 125th episode, and usually after every 25 episodes, it's meant to be like the big matchup.
Yeah. Well, I think they've stopped doing that every 25. They're probably going to go to every 50 now.
Alright, makes sense. And of course, at first it took me a while to get used to Goro's model, because I have to admit, when you look at his thumbnail picture, he looks way better in that than the episode.
Yeah.
But
Although,
the Champ's model, perfection.
yeah, and you might be
Because
surprised.
it's models from Pokken.
No, actually it wasn't. Both those models were custom made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was surprising. In fact, do you know why I think this episode's even way better than it should be? Even Jaru, who had little faith in it, says it's his favorite death battle of all time. And if your death battle impresses Jaru, you've definitely pushed the right buttons. Because he's a hard man to impress. No thanks, Jaru. We love you. Maybe. No. It's up for debate. But anyway,
Your dogs disagree with that statement.
it's because someone's at my door right now.
Oh yeah, I sent Machamp to your house. You're welcome.
Well, I'm just gonna high five him because he was epic in this episode.
Could you imagine you high-fiving a champ and then your arm just gets blown off?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I mean, you still end up with
Yeah,
more
but-
limbs than Goro afterwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll be brief on this because we've been doing this for a while now, and my dinner's nearly ready. I love this episode. The fight was great. Machamp, I'm really happy he won. The little bit where he was just going champ, my champ, my champ, my champ, my champ, my champ, my champ, and getting fast at each punch was cool to watch.
I'm gonna
the
get
death-
so much hate.
You are, and you
the
deserve
death
it.
is what- As much as it was sad to see Goro go out the way he did, do you know what? Machamp gave him a warrior's death. So you know what? And he even gave him a little thumbs up before he died.
And I love the fact afterwards, after he like blasts him into the air, just the Machamp like celebrating his win. Machamp was hurt by the burn, and then just faints.
Machamp.
Haven't we all been there?
Do you know what I'm actually picturing? Can you imagine if the Pokemon trainer took his Machamp to the Pokemon Center? And it's like, okay, what the F happened to your Pokemon? It's like, well, we saw a Machamp, but this Machamp was a bit different. This one knows how to use Flamethrower. What? Yeah, I know, right? And then it pulled out swords, and then it was weird. It's weird to describe.
It's also dead now.
Yeah, I tried to put it in the Pokeball, but for some reason Pokeball wasn't working. I will actually also say, like, Machamp also knows Dragon-type moves, right?
I think one, yeah.
Dragon Rush.
No, it can't learn that.
Oh, okay. So I was actually going to think, like, do we think Dragon Rush would have actually damaged Squirrel? Because he is a dragon.
I think it's Dual Chop. If I remember right.
Wait,
That's what it probably was.
Wait, Dual Chop is a dragon-type move?
Yeah.
That sounds like a fighting type.
Pokemon's weird.
No, you know what's weird? Machamp can't naturally learn close combat.
Yeah, I'm still confused about that. How does a Pokemon that has spent its entire life fighting not know how to close combat?
Well, and it's...
They wanted to teach it to a bird.
Yeah, apparently. A bird can learn it, but not a four-armed fighter.
To be fair, Staraptor
Yeah,
is freaking awesome.
That is true.
Yeah.
The fact that that can actually learn to punch really fast, but not Machamp, is crazy. Yeah, I think I've hyped up this episode enough. What do you guys have to say? I mean, we know what Sean has to say. He's going to die by the end of this. In fact, he's now fired as an editor. We're going to bring Steve in. He's going to replace him.
So we're not
Alright,
bringing
I'll
that
send
back.
the stuff to Steve then.
Oh wait, no, he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Okay.
had me kill him last time.
Oh yeah. R.I.P. Steve.
If you're still watching this and want to learn what that reference is, go to Billy's channel and watch the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yes,
inside jokes people aren't going to get from watching your channel.
Yeah, and that's why they should go to your channel and they'll understand it.
Please, I'm lonely.
Look at all the stuff that Sean does for bail, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, every podcast is only around because Sean edits them.
Except for one.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So
But-
we move on to number 9.
Number 9.
Alright. With a score of 35.
This is Agent Barnes. Target eliminated. Moving on.
Yeah,
Lucky
I
this
actually
is
imagine.
recent.
I actually imagine it would have been like here, but not too high up.
I put it in my top 5.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a good episode.
Well, here's the thing for me personally, because it was live action, and I was a theater kid. I kind of done stuff like that in theater class before. We had to act out fight scenes, so I give them a lot of credit. It's a lot harder to do than people think it is.
Yeah. Also, Ismahawk really wanted to do this fight.
It was originally
And
going
then,
to
of
be
course,
on. It was going to be on their channel originally.
Yeah, same with Nightwing Daredevil, actually.
Yeah. And then, like, for the
Crazy to
second
see
ever
how
live
long
action
they held
fight,
off on it.
you could definitely tell there was a lot more of improvement when comparing it to Nightwing versus Daredevil.
Oh, yeah.
They had their own composer do the soundtrack as well this time, which was a really nice choice. And then there's the little things, like having Joker talk to Jason while he's fighting Bucky.
Oh yeah, that whole PTSD scene because of the crowbar.
Yeah. And also, I actually did enjoy the death for this one, as Billy mutes himself. Real quick. Yeah, I get it. People were like, it doesn't match up in the next shot because Red Hood's lights are still on.
I barely noticed that.
That little detail aside, though, considering it was a live-action death battle, they had to do something. And that was a good way to end that episode, honestly.
Yeah. Also, there's like other small details that I don't see a lot of people talk about. Like after Bucky's gun explodes, like if you look at Jason's hand, you can see he has burn marks and bits of shrapnel in there.
I forgot if I showed this in the podcast that Bill deleted. I showed the behind-the-scenes footage for people to see that kind of stuff.
It was for the best, sure, and it was for the best. Trust me.
Yeah.
Even though it's sad that a lot of fun stuff did get cut out.
Yeah.
Because I deleted it.
But, like, if you look at the behind-the-scenes stuff for this episode, it was really great. And again, as someone who's done fight scenes before, looking back on this, and I'm like, yeah, this is stuff that we used to do.
Yeah. Also,
and then they edit it so it's like you don't see what they land on and everything.
Yeah, so I always like seeing that sort of stuff. I enjoyed it with Nightwing versus Daredevil as well.
Oh yeah, because we got the Danny Wow from that behind the scenes.
I love that.
That's become infamous, isn't it?
Wow!
I mean, to be fair, if I was on set and the guy that was about to fake kick me actually dented the car door, I too would be like, what the fuck, mate?
Oh, no, that's not what happened.
No, he just went at...
Daredevil went to knee the car, and he kneed it so hard that the window broke.
Yeah, like, they were talking about how, in post, we're gonna have to just shatter the window, like, ourselves, but he was just like, no, I'm gonna break that fucking window.
I thought he also dented the car as well.
Oh yeah, he did.
That wasn't a prop car as well, that was a real car.
Yep.
Imagine, I can imagine, can you imagine if that was their friend's car? Like, hey David, can we borrow your car for the day? It's like, oh yeah, sure, just bring it to me in one piece. Next day, David, your car you lent us.
Oh yeah, what about it?
Would you believe if I told you a blind man kicked it, broke a window, and broke the side of the door?
What the did you do to my car?
Yeah. Okay, I'll see you in court.
Like, I feel like this fight is underappreciated, honestly.
Also, can we just talk about how good the CGI was on Bucky's arm?
Oh yeah,
it wasn't entirely CGI either. Was the thing? It was just partly CGI, I think.
Well, yeah, he was wearing like a thing, but they CGI'd it in post.
Yeah, like I actually thought they genuinely just similar to what Bat and the Sun did, and they actually just gave him a prosthetic arm. And like a fake, just a fake Winter Soldier arm. You know, like it's actually made of like paper mache or something. But no, the fact they actually CGI'd it. And you know, a few people really didn't like the death. I disagree. I feel like the death in this was brutal and definitely was way more than I expected it to be.
No, I thought it was a good touch for the death.
Yeah, I mean, crushing him in his own helmet.
I mean, if you're gonna have Winter Soldier win, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if you're gonna have the Winter Soldier win, it has to be with the robot arm. If it's just like a snap neck or a gunshot, that's kind of lame for the character. I feel like there are some death battles where you have to kill the character. Depending on who wins, you have to kill them with a signature takedown. So having Winter Soldier break Bucky's like helmet and crush his skull within, and you don't see it because really quickly. You can actually see blood spewing out, and you can actually see like the head get crushed inside of it.
Yeah, and you can even hear like a.
Yeah, like that's one. Like I would have actually liked it if they had the body twitch a bit more, like after it's dead. Yeah, I'm not. That's a nitpick. I do think this episode definitely deserves to be in the top 10.
There's one tiny nitpick I have as well.
Oh yeah?
Why are they fighting in an abandoned restaurant?
Well, that's where Jason's hiding out.
Why
Yeah,
that place though?
You know what? I headcanon
Now,
it. After Batman killed Captain America, Bucky's decided, you know what? I'ma just go on a killing spree and murder the Bat family. And you know what? Is Mahawker even talking about maybe one day doing Nightwing versus Winter Soldier? See who comes out on top overall? There we go. It'll tie into that.
Believe it or not, I actually think Nightwing would win that. Because he's actually way
maybe.
better than Red Hood. I'm not saying that in person. I actually prefer Red Hood over Nightwing, but Nightwing is clarified as being the best. He's like considered Robin and potentially even better than Batman in terms of combat. And if there's one thing he definitely has over Batman, that sweet ass. Listen, I can admit a man has a sweet ass. Leon and Nightwing have the best male asses in fiction.
Well, is that everything then?
I guess. Right, so number
Let's probably
8.
wrap this up soon.
Number 8 with a score of 37.
Finally, your time just ran out. What?
Oh, wait. Did you think you made me turn my force field off? No, it's too strong for that. I gave it to you.
Huh? I'll see you in hell, you goddamn golden asshole!
Haha! Boost terrific!
Cable versus Booster Gold.
I
feel
back
like
Marvel
that
versus
definitely-
DC fights. Hooray!
I feel like that episode should be higher.
You know,
Could have been.
I enjoyed the remaining episodes more, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. This episode, it introduced a really cool character, Booster Gold, a hero no one's ever heard of, both in fiction and literal.
Until this episode. Which makes his
Yeah, and
catchphrase
the
funnier.
fight is- And the fight as well was really entertaining. I mean, one, we had a Booster Gold dab before getting crushed.
Yeah, I guess, but like
And
some of the writing for Booster Gold, was a little bit cringy. It's like, hell, hey, I can do that too.
But yeah, that's the kind of point of Booster Gold. He's meant to be like a showboater, so him like messing around with Cable was funny, and I absolutely love that. Like, and the thing is, in fact, it's kind of my thing. So here's an army of me from every single second we fought. It's like, come on, that was fun. And then the sarcastic, oh no, a voice in my head. Like, come on. He had some funny lines.
Yeah, and
It just felt a bit cringy, like looking back on it. And then you have the soundtrack, kind of non-existent at times.
Oh, the soundtrack was cool, man. Man.
also I
Feel
gotta
like me and
say,
Sean are gonna have a falling out.
god damn that death.
Yeah. Getting crushed by a shield.
Yeah, and not only
That
that,
was not as brutal as I
but-
thought it was.
yeah, but also just the fact that Cable was holding it off as long as he was, just to say like one final F you to Booster Gold.
Yes.
Like, say whatever you will, but man, badass.
I don't know, I love Booster Gold's face after Cable insulted him. He's like, dude, for real? This episode definitely deserves to be much higher than it does. You both just have poor taste.
Oh, yeah.
That's just it. You know, all my opinions are higher up.
Oh yeah, you had this
I
at
have it
number
at number
2.
12.
This episode was good.
I mean, here's the thing. There were like slightly better Marvel vs. DC fights this season compared to this one, but it was
I
still
call
one of the
baloney.
best Marvel versus DC fights overall as far as Death Battle span goes.
By the way, Sean, me and you put it at the exact same spot.
Hey!
Wow, you both suck. You both suck.
Listen, this is just our opinion. We don't know why you put it up that high, and it's a good
Because
thing we didn't
it's a
talk
good
about it ahead of
episode.
time.
It's a
No,
good
it's a-
episode.
It's a good episode. I just enjoyed the others more.
Exactly. There were definitely episodes that were better than this, especially on my list. Like, I enjoyed Miles versus Static a bit more because
But
you
you
know,
put Machamp versus Goro at number 18, so you don't get a say on what's good and
I
bad.
do get a say because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here now, would I?
I mean, I could just kick you out of the chat.
I mean, you could, but then Meg would have to do his math all over again.
In fact, I could actually just lower your volume to mute.
Keep in mind, I'm the one recording this.
Exactly. Did you forget then?
Oh, wait, can you still hear him?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the setting. I thought I could just mute him for the whole thing. I was gonna mute him for a few seconds and see if he noticed. Okay, well, I guess it's only for my end.
For sake.
Worth a try.
I mean, was this a pretty good episode? Yeah. Were there episodes that are above this one? Sure.
We should probably get to those episodes anyway, because I can smell my dinner right now. I'm having Madras.
Alright, well, if, are we
what did
moving
you
on?
guys think of this episode?
Oh, okay. You
I
know,
was going to say, aren't you going to say your piece?
I liked it. I'm glad I got to see Cable, and I mean, yeah, it sucks that you lost, but at the same time, I got to actually learn who Booster Gold was. His analysis painted him in a really good light, and man, props to his voice actor for making him sound like a bit of a douche, but likable at the same time. Like, I don't know how you do that, but that's just testament to good voice acting.
He has that whole Johnny
Yeah.
Cage sort of character. You know, he's a complete douchebag, like unjustifiably douchey. But he's charming enough that you forget about it.
Also, a slight nod to the time, huh? Thanks for the tip line.
A little bit. Especially considering that
Isn't-
sometimes he gets confused for Green Lantern.
You would think you'd get more confused for a Yellow Lantern.
Are you really gonna be fearful of Booster Gold though?
True. I mean, okay, can I just point something out? And this, I'm not talking. This ain't about that. This is about DC's universe. You're really telling me someone in a museum just locked up the most powerful shield of all time in a
And-
museum?
And hired an
He stole from
ex-con
anyone.
as a security guard.
Like, you're just setting
Hindsight's-
up for someone to steal it.
Hindsight's 20/20.
It's like they shouldn't be surprised that shield was stolen. Really.
What are we on after this, Seth?
Yeah, number 7.
All right.
Right, and we have our first tie.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I'll just quickly explain. So how I broke up the ties were 2 out of 3 of us put the episode higher than the other one. That one ends up higher on the list overall.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was the fairest way to break up the ties.
Fair enough.
So with a score of 40 points,
What? That's impossible!
Now you're catching on. I am the impossible! That was for my ice cream.
Yeah, I
Kinda
think
close
like
to where I
deserves
had
to
it
be
on
in
my
spot.
list.
Yeah, I feel like this one definitely deserves to be on the list. Like, especially in this spot.
Oh yeah. Especially when you realize this is our first Sailor Moon character.
yeah, and
Surprisingly, it didn't start off with Sailor Moon, which I really thought she would have been the perfect candidate to start off the series with.
yeah, but here's the thing.
I mean,
I'm just throw this into perspective for you about how powerful Sailor Moon is. You know how powerful they described Galaxia?
Yeah.
She's a very early series villain.
Wow.
Yes.
And Sailor Moon gets way more absurd after that.
Funny enough, I think it was the Sailor Moon's creator's birthday a few days ago. So, kind of unfortunate one of her characters died off.
I mean, she was going against another god in the God of Destruction against Beerus.
Yeah. Oh, and for even more perspective, you know the 9 times Universal they gave Beerus that they said, this is a bit of a lowball estimate for him?
Yeah.
Well, a question they got was, if that wasn't enough for Beerus to win, what was the plan? The plan was going to be to scale him to Broly.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
Funny to think about how... It's funny to think about how Dragon Ball Super Broly is potentially more powerful than the gods of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And for some reason, King Vegeta did not want to use him against Frieza.
I mean, to be fair, he can't actually control that power.
I mean, yeah, but imagine that. If you raised Broly to be a warrior, gave him a, good position and everything like that, no one dare touch the Saiyans.
Well, and there's also just petty jealousy for his own son.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing Saiyans have in Dragon Ball, and people always argue this, Saiyans are stupidly prideful.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for their pride, they could literally conquer the galaxy.
Speaking of
There's a
galaxies,
reason
I'm
they're
pretty sure some got
extinct.
destroyed this animation.
Yeah.
But like, this was a really good way for Death Battle to premiere itself for the second half of this season.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
The voice
why
acting
not start
was
off with
really
that?
great, especially for Beerus.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can't really say much. I can't really say much for Galaxia's actress because I've not watched the Sailor Moon anime, so.
I mean, based on what I've heard, she did pretty well.
Yeah, she did really good. And then, of course, this was all over an ice cream cone. Like, that is just hilarious.
Listen, you don't mess with Beerus's ice cream.
And that's when the feeling of fuck your lunch got started as the theme for this season.
And you know what? I love that scene at the end after Beerus kills Galaxia. Just that was for my ice cream.
Consistency in the story. Shocker.
Yeah, 1, consistency. 2, it's hilarious. And goddamn, because it's Beerus, he makes that line sound badass.
Yeah. And all the like hand-drawn segments in this episode were really great as well.
I mean, yeah,
And then, of
you
course-
can't really go wrong with it.
Yeah. I also think that people who have never watched Sailor Moon might also enjoy Galaxia, despite the fact that her weakness was kindness.
And that was a. I think that's just lazy writing, if I had to be honest.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Lazy.
Also, this is the episode that introduced Dummy.
That
Yeah,
too.
I have to admit, I think that's probably one of my negatives about this episode. Dummy did not impress me at all, and he wasn't funny at the start. It took a few episodes for him to get a bit funny. I'll still definitely buy a plushie. I even said that, regardless, I would still buy a plush toy of him.
Oh, me too.
One of the things as well to consider is, as I've said, I'm not that big into Dragon Ball, but if Death Battle makes me like a character, then it's a good episode.
Yeah, that's actually fair.
Also, all the cats are now named after alcohol, which is the best part.
Well, it's not cats, it's the gods of destruction that are named after alcohol.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball naming is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's not funny when you first hear it,
you
but
know-
when you look into it, it's funny.
Yeah, everyone's named after either underpants or food.
Yeah. Or an instrument.
That too.
Really? I
Piccolo.
did not know that. I thought he was. I'm not gonna lie. I always thought he was based off of Pickle.
No.
No.
Look at me, Gohan. I'm Pickle Dad.
Just no.
But like,
Your anime does not
this
respect
definitely
the
brought some
Pickle
good, like-
Rick meme.
nope. Watch that get brought up in Rick's episode if he does get one.
Oh, for God's sake, I hope not.
They're gonna bring up Rick. They're gonna bring up Pickle Rick, and I will love it.
And plus that soundtrack, especially towards the end when they're cheering Beerus' name, that's really good.
Mm.
Listen, a character that has a theme that's chanting their name deserves to have it chanted.
Yeah, and you know what? That going along with him just pushing Galaxia into the black hole and just saying, "I am the impossible."
Yeah, like the dialogue was also one of the best parts about this episode. This was a great way to come back overall.
Mm.
I think we pretty much said all we need to say about this one, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I can't really think of another way to praise the episode.
Oh, before I forget, I will quickly
Yeah.
address like one criticism I have seen. People just complaining, "Oh, how come we didn't see more stuff get destroyed?"
Because it's not a season finale.
Also, this is more controlled destruction. And I'll get to what I mean by that later on. But for now, let's talk about number 6. With
What barely beat this out?
with a score of 40, but 2 of us put this higher than Beerus vs. Galaxia.
Not like this! I'm no monster, but tonight I'll make an exception.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
The dog
I
beats
had-
the cat.
What?
I had this at number 6. Here's the thing. This episode got put out because they had to delay Red versus Blue. So I didn't have too many high hopes. That's what makes this episode fantastic for me. Was it blew those expectations out.
Well, I mean,
And plus,
okay,
it's
they
a
didn't-
Halloween episode. You can never go wrong with that.
Also, I'm just throwing this out that they didn't have to put it out because Red vs. Blue was delayed. This was gonna come out like after Red vs. Blue, like regardless. But then it got delayed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yes, it's the whole Deadpool vs. Deathstroke and Kirby vs. Majin Buu scenario again. You know, just put the episode that
This
they had
was-
already nearly finished out, so just did that.
This was my only gripe with this episode. Honestly, I knew this was kind of like a stomp in favor of Cal Bane.
Surprisingly, not many people did. I saw a lot of people
Yeah.
say they were going for Saberwolf, including most of the G1 prediction blog.
I'm surprised.
As a Killer Instinct fan, and because I was being biased, because I like Killer Instinct, I was rooting for Saberwolf as well. Because, one, he was...
I did not see a way Saberwolf can beat John, honestly.
He was always my main, next to Folgore and TJ combo, so I kind of had to root for him. And I did think he had a chance, because he's beaten many of, like, the Killer Instinct, like, power rosters. Like, if you're a character that can beat Folgore and Orchid, yeah, you're not to be messed with.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact he has little control
I
over
think
his
this is-
rage, and he still powerhouses many of the characters. Yeah, that's why I kind of went for Saberwolf.
Also, obvious big thing that makes this episode great is Blood Moon. Like, that is one of the best soundtracks of this season.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, that soundtrack is pretty dang badass.
You know, we often say Brandon is the freaking god of, like, versus music. And yeah, this is one of those tracks that is why.
Yeah.
I mean, no, my logic when it comes to Death Battle soundtracks is honestly, I think Werewolf have it better with lyric soundtracks, and Brandon does it better with non-lyric ones. But this one was just so damn good.
I mean, this is also an episode where we had like an opponent get strangled by their own intestines, like,
and that being a
holy
fake out.
shit. Yeah, how do you have that as a fake out? It's but a scratch, said John.
Also, fun little fact. So, with all the blood that was on screen, yeah, there was a total of 30 seconds in the entire animation where they didn't show blood.
Oh,
yeesh.
Oh yeah, also this has to be the most ferocious death. Not even brutal, this is the most ferocious
Yeah.
death that we've had in Death Battle. Like,
Right.
you even see Sable try and crawl away and bleeding out.
Yeah, and I heard a thing said about this that kind of makes it a bit tragic. Like, that final scream of his, it could be seen as, like, the last of his humanity just, like, begging for mercy. As its head is ripped off.
Oh, that is fucked up.
I think that another great thing is the voice acting and how they portrayed these characters was really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Did they just use
I didn't
Sable
see who the
lines?
No,
that was Chris Guerrero.
yeah. I knew it was
I really
Chris,
thought they
despite
just
not
used
looking at
dialogue
the
from the
tweet.
games.
No, that was Chris Guerrero playing Saberwolf.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough.
And John's voice actor did an amazing job, despite, I'm not familiar with his series either. But they did an amazing job with John.
Yeah.
And plus, the way they used the bats, oh my lord.
Oh, yeah, that was clever.
Yeah, I have to admit, that was a pretty clever way to have the bats be in the fight. They set on fire though, that was pretty messed up.
I think as far as Killer Instinct goes, this is the second best Killer Instinct episode in Death Battle. As far as episodes that's had Killer Instincts in Death Battle, this is probably the second best one.
Okay, I thought you were saying this is like their second one. I'm like, no, they've had no
Yeah,
episodes.
that's what I thought I heard too.
No, this is their second best episode. Obviously, TJ Collins vs. Balrog still the best Killer Instinct episode.
Yeah,
I'll agree with
this
that.
came
That
close.
one is still my favorite.
Plus, Saberwolf's sprite looks a whole lot better, honestly. Especially when you look back at the other sprites they used for KI.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah, these are clearly custom ones.
No, that was a Mugen sprite.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, they didn't go with... Can you imagine if they used the original game sprites?
Oh, God.
That would have looked so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have to say about that. That was really good. I was surprised that Saberwolf lost. I think, what's the series called? Deathstalkers?
Darkstalkers.
Darkstalkers.
Yeah, they definitely needed a win after Felicia.
Dude, they just need to be in an episode after that.
Yeah, the last one was Felicia in Season 1, for God's sakes.
Yeah, she lost to a Blaze Blue character of all series.
No, she... Oh, wait. I thought Felicia's opponent was some Darkstalkers, but no, you're right. She was Blaze Blue.
Nah. Yeah. Not even a character many people would know. That was the original Booster Gold versus Cable episode. the really cool character lost to the very unknown character. So what would be at number 6?
This. Wait, the next one is number 5.
We're getting
really?
into our top 5.
Oh, right, okay. Man, I'm very behind.
Yep, and,
I wonder how close our top 5s are.
well, we have a second
Yeah.
tie.
Wow.
Wait, before Mate says it, I'm gonna guess it's red versus blue.
with a score of 42.
Huh?
Wow.
Really?
I think you thought it was red versus blue. Yeah, no. I think it definitely
I had
deserves
this
a spot.
Yeah, I had this at number 3.
Dang.
Let me just check where I... Oh, I had it at number 5.
Oh, okay.
When I remember when he announced this episode, I was a little bit like, I don't want Sonic again.
Yeah, but this was
But-
Archie Sonic.
But then when they...
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. But then when it revealed the title of the names, it said Archie Sonic. Okay, I knew about Archie Sonic, but I've never read a lot of the comics. I've known Sonic through the games and the TV shows. So I was a bit surprised. Like, okay, so what makes this Sonic different from the game parts? And
He's overpowered
I
as
was a few of my-
fuck, that's why.
yeah, I asked a few of my friends who are into Sonic, and you mates, you've not read the Archie comics, haven't you?
Nope.
Yeah, so I'm surprised to find out that there was a comic book version of Sonic that was so overpowered that he managed to beat Segata Sanshiro. I think not even Chuck Norris could do. So I was like, okay, I feel like Wally is going to be in for a tough fight.
Yeah, especially
But
considering
I didn't doubt my
the-
boy.
this Sonic also has plot manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
he literally has plot armor.
Yeah.
So does Wally.
Yeah, and then it turns out that Flash is just bullshit.
Welcome to DC, everybody.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
because Speed Force. I love that meme they showed.
Regardless of that, this is still a fantastic episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, especially when you look back at Barry's analysis and then you look at Wally's, like, you can definitely tell there's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense now why they went with Barry for Quicksilver instead of Wally. Because people say, "Oh, why is it not Wally Flash? He's more popular." It's like, there's your reason.
Yeah.
He's too OP.
Yeah, like, yeah, comparing the
And
two, Barry was a mercy.
It's even funnier. Each time DC has a reboot, the characters kind of get a nerf. Like, Superman's not as overpowered when you look at pre-Crisis. But it seems as though Wally, every time there's a reboot, he gets more powerful. I mean, he's kind of responsible for why the universes keep restarting in the first place, but...
Because Speed
my
Force.
goodness, man. Like, how did DC reboot again? How powerful is he going to get next? He breaks into literal reality. Like, when you open that comic panel, he actually runs out. Like, how do you even scale that?
Who knows?
Learning about Archie Sonic was definitely a ride.
Yeah.
though.
I think that was definitely the highlight of this episode. Then, just them trying to measure their speed feats, and we're just being like, yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah, speed wasn't
It's
really a
very
factor in
difficult.
this.
Yeah, especially
No,
because
because
Wally
that's-
can just take it. Like, mine!
But it's the fact that speed was unlimited. You
Yeah.
can't measure it. At one point, they can go 50 times the speed of light, to the point they'll go 50 billion times the speed of light. It's bullshit. That's not
Yeah.
And
scientifically
then they'll go-
possible.
And then they'll go FU times the speed of light.
Yeah, somehow there's a speed faster than light.
I
I
I think one of the coolest things about this, as well, when you go into the animation, is the Sonic death, and he goes into a bunch of other forms of himself.
Yeah, that was trippy.
And do you know what's even funnier is the fact that many people, including myself, was pretty safe to assume Archie was going to win after the announcers. Even though I was still rooting for Wily, I was like, alright, here it comes.
Yeah.
Sonic's about to finish off Wily. But to see Archie Sonic die like that, in fact, loads of my friends who saw this episode with me, they were like, "No, how did Archie Sonic lose?"
That was my biggest
DC
concern.
is
Was
bullshit.
That was my big concern was if Wally did win, was this going to turn into Ben versus Hal level of hatred?
I think it was the same level as Mario vs. Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Sonic has a big fan base, but not as like. I have to say this. I feel like the reason Ben 10 versus Green Lantern got as much dislike as it did was because there was that video that came up a year before, which was titled "Ben 10 could beat Goku and Superman," and it's a good video. If that people, I recommend watching it. It's actually a lot of fun. But yeah, I feel like because of that video, it got so many Ben 10 fans involved, even people who weren't into Ben 10. So that's probably why that episode suffered as much when it came to dislikes.
Well, besides that, the only other complaint I had with this episode was the storyboard animator apparently had to explain the ending to people because people thought that he ran back in time when he actually ran forward in time.
Yeah, but I don't understand that. Even I saw in the episode, you can clearly see next to Wally that he's going forward in time.
Yeah, but you could also see that as him going backwards. And what actually doesn't help is that when he jumps out and destroys the Super Emerald, the background is the same as when he first got the Super Emerald, not the Special Zone.
Exactly.
I think if they just made it that little detail, it would have made it a little clearer.
The death was, though, pretty fun to watch. Even if it wasn't brutal, just seeing Archie Sonic scream, like... I think so many questions were going through Archie Sonic's mind, like, no, this can't be!
Yeah. Normally when I made stuff in my top 5, these are episodes these are episodes that I would definitely go back and watch, for sure, if I'm ever bored. And... oh boy, was this a joy. Especially that race to start off the fight.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
And then, of course, the dialogue they had with each other was really good.
I still say one of the funniest parts of this fight was when Sonic knocked Wally. Wally went flying in the distance, and Sonic was just waiting for him to appear behind him. It's so funny, and he's tapping his feet really fast, like, "Come on, I haven't got all day." And he's just like, "Ah!" It's like his scream carried over, like he was screaming that entire time.
Yeah, and
yes,
it fades out and then it fades back in.
Yeah. Also, did you guys listen to the song and hear like "Live and Learn" in there?
No, I didn't actually.
Dude, it's there, and it's so freaking awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that is like the best soundtrack in all of Sonic.
Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna just throw this out there. This is my favorite Sonic episode. Yeah, despite the fact he lost, I still like this over the other two.
I actually prefer the 100th episode, honestly, because I know like the people who animated that.
Oh.
They made a really good parody song, honestly, and it's great. But any complaints I have with this episode are very minor, honestly.
It's just that makes me think, though. Do you think we might end up seeing like other versions of characters that have been in Death Battle before in this? Like,
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Can you imagine if we got Man of Steel Superman versus Dragon Ball Evolution Goku? I think people wouldn't be angry if Goku lost that.
No, you know what? No, here's what we do: Injustice Superman versus Homelander.
Do you know what?
That would be kind of decent.
Injustice Superman's not too broken compared to pre-Crisis or New 52. In fact, they had to bring in New 52 Superman to beat Injustice Superman, and he said it was a piece of cake.
Yeah. Or if not that, maybe Archie Knuckles versus the Juggernaut. But that's been getting pretty popular recently.
That it has.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
I guess we shall move on to number 3 now.
No, it's number 4.
Number 4. Bill.
Oh, I thought we were on number 5, then we moved on to number 4.
You said 3.
For number 5.
My attention span. my attention span's really bad today.
Yeah. All right.
To be fair,
so-
I'm hungry. I can smell my madras. I want my food.
Well, let's see what number 4 is, Bill.
Yeah, tied with Flash vs.
Yeah.
Sonic, but 2 out of 3 of us put this higher. We have...
Not yet! I'm taking you with me!
Sorry it had to be this way.
Don't talk to me.
You got it.
Genos vs. War Machine.
Okay, I actually
Oh,
think
come on!
I actually feel like it should be a little higher, but you know what? I'm not going to complain about its spot because this episode deserves the praise it gets.
Yeah, and
does.
I sometimes I feel
I
like
got
I'm
this
in
at
a
number 2.
minority saying that I like this episode.
I do as
I mean,
well.
first of all, MCU War Machine kind of made me a fan of the character, and he had some of the best lines in this episode.
Yeah.
Like when Genos called his suit ugly, he's like, "Ugly? This is my Sunday best," and uppercutted him right after that. And the bit where Genos is trying to incinerate him, and he's just standing there, and he's just like, "Die already!"
Oh, you know what? No, the scene where you just see his shadow and the lights from the suit through the flames. That is one of my favorite shots in all of Death Battle. It's so goddamn badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really sick shot. I also liked as well when he stepped out of the ice all casually, and then he goes into his serious mode. It's like, whoa, he's getting serious.
And
Plus, they did like a cool thing where this was hand drawn on a 3D background.
yeah, like when I first heard that the background was 3D, that blew my mind. I could not tell.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that until after me, Richard, and Jaru recorded our review of it. I will say, though, one thing I do agree with Jaru on, when they're doing the really fast punches to each other, that is very noticeable where it just looks like it's 2 frames for them.
Yeah, I get it,
aside
but
that little
it's
bit,
also
though.
like a little like anime thing.
I get it. I did kind of wish though we saw more of it. But I'm not an animator, but I do know that animating hand-to-hand combat like really fast, not easy, and it's expensive. So, you know, sticking to the 2 frames of them punching
Also-
each other, it's okay. And most of the fight
I know a
made
lot
up
of people.
for that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like the death that Genos got, but I quite enjoyed it because like he gets put back together a lot, so it's just like, yeah, he blew himself up, but he kind of does that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched One Punch Man after this episode. Well, I actually watched it after the analysis talk of it, and you know, I actually or I watched it when it was announced, I should say, not the analysis part. And you know, I actually enjoyed One Punch Man Genos. So it did kind of make it sad seeing him lose, but at the same time, it was like, it's Genos.
Yeah.
He'll be put back together in like no time.
Also, I will just say, like, for the other matchups he was requested for, this is where he had the best chance, because the other 2 he got requested for were Android 17 and Cyborg.
I mean, I would have liked Cyborg more, but that's because I grew up with Teen Titans.
Funny, I actually also seen people say Yamcha would also be a good opponent, but I immediately said Yamcha can blow up a planet.
Yeah, Yamcha would
That's
destroy him.
all I said. Well, listen, as much
Yeah.
as Yamcha is a joke to the Z Fighters and the Saiyans,
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's still
he's
a
not
planet
joke to
buster.
yeah, I mean, if he was to fight anyone from Street Fighter, they would lose.
Yeah.
Even Akuma wouldn't be able to beat him.
I do enjoy KO Computer as its own little soundtrack.
Oh yeah, me too.
There were some moments I loved him in the soundtrack, like just like I said, when War Machine went invisible and then he appeared. Soundtrack has that really kick-ass beat to it with each punch he delivered.
And there's even those
What's
moments
fun is every time I'm listening,
where like it has a like it kicks up a bit when Genos like reattaches his body parts. Like
Yeah.
reattach, dun, dun, reattach, dun, dun, and it's in tune with the fight, and I'm just like, that's really cool.
Whenever I'm listening to it on SoundCloud on my way to work, and the moment it gets to that certain point in the song, I immediately recognize where that is in the fight. So, I ultimately think this episode is way better than what Joe and Richard say. I mean, no offense to those guys, they're lovely guys, but I feel like they were too harsh on this episode.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Sorry. If you guys
This was my
episode-
favorite episode for the longest time. Yeah.
I mean, what's even funny is more people now are starting to watch it more after a while, and a lot of people are actually saying, you know what, this episode's actually a lot better than I remember. And this is also by the same animators who work on Camp Camp.
Yes.
How do you go from that to a really cool fight?
Also, didn't they animate Deadpool versus the Mask?
Yeah, they did.
Oh yeah, they did. Wasn't that the first one they did?
Yep.
Admittedly, though, in that fight it was a bit more slower pace. It was more trying to be humorous. In this one, though, they properly wanted to do a fight.
You know what? That just makes me think. Are we gonna get a hand-drawn fight in the new season?
It's most likely. I think we
We
are.
might.
I mean, it's like a thing that, like, every season we get a hand-drawn fight.
I think one of the things as well that helps this episode is the voice acting for War Machine. That's probably one of my favorite voice acting jobs this season.
Yeah, and he did a good job of sounding a lot like Don Cheadle. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like the animated version of this character from that old animated Marvel show. I forget the name of it.
Was it Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
That's the one.
Oh, I love that cartoon. It was so good. Why did they cancel it? Curse you, Marvel Cinematic Universe! You cancelled my childhood.
As for Genos, they did a really good job portraying him as well, and especially that near fake out where he tries to blow both of them up. It's still one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes. There's a lot of moments in this episode that were great. Shall we move on to
the top 3?
I'm excited to see what this top 3 is.
All right.
Yeah, in fact, I'm just wondering where Red versus Blue is. In all honesty.
Well, at number 3 with a score of 47.
This is it. This is what it's all about. Red versus blue. Blood versus water, which is really just lifeless, tasteless waste of space blood. Destiny awaits! Today, the Cerulean Devil dies! Well, should have seen that coming. Blood.
Good thing the flag is out.
Oh, there you go. I really thought that would be lower. I'm not complaining about where it is.
9.
I had this at number 2.
It's a
Wow,
good episode.
all of our number 2s are varying, it seems.
Well, it's a good episode. It's funny.
I mean, exactly. But the thing is, and as as Saber said, if you're a fan of Red vs. Blue, you're gonna really like this episode.
Which
and I'm just
I am, and I love it.
casually enjoyed it. I casually enjoyed it, so that's why I barely put it in my top 10. Plus, no Tex voice actor.
Well, to be
Why?
fair, Tex isn't really known for, you know, quips and one-liners while fighting, so you can get away with it.
I don't know. She's
but
had a
I
few
feel like
lines now and again. Like when she shot Lopez's
I feel like that would have
head,
made the
she was like,
episode a
yeah,
little better.
headshot. And the reason that people said why they don't have Tex's voice actor or actress is because she no longer works for Rooster Teeth.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we don't need to go into
okay,
why.
but you don't have. But here's the thing: you don't have Caboose's actor anymore. Yet you replaced him.
Yeah.
You're telling me you couldn't get?
You know what? I wouldn't mind talking about this. They actually did try to get Joel.
That is true. They did, but he was too lazy to answer his messages.
No, not only that, but he even replied to some people asking him about it, and he claims that, and I quote, he's too expensive for Rooster Teeth now.
But the voice
Is it?
acting, regardless of
That's
who they
what
got,
he claims.
So he's too expensive to work with his friends.
Yeah.
This guy sounds like a dick.
Yeah, so I lost a lot of respect for the guy.
I still think that the voice
Yeah,
acting they did
kind of makes it sad.
really good though.
Now.
I mean, I think my favorite voice actor, besides who was it that played Church? It was Bernie, right? Because I think he also did Lopez.
Hmm.
I enjoyed Griff's little no thing, despite it being a little cringe when Simmons died.
Yeah. And man, I kind of feel bad for Griff in this fight. Like, everyone gets this super cartoony death, but he goes out by getting kicked in the dick and then having his neck snapped after he saves Sarge.
And Sarge is like, oh, it's about time. I will say, Sarge had the funniest death. You know, he's giving this dramatic speech and then the grenade pop. He's like, oh, should have seen that coming. Play it.
You know, I'd actually argue that Tex had the funniest death, just because they incorporated Cabooses team killing and the failure thing, like, in the same sequence. Yeah. Like, that's really clever.
I think overall, the voice acting was very good.
But I need to actually comment about mate saying that Tex was killed. I don't think she was, in all honesty, because it doesn't even look like the bullet goes through her head. It looks like it deflected off her and knocked her out.
Well, it also did that with Tucker, Donut. Actually, yeah, just those two. It like bounced off their heads.
The only character I can actually say where it looked like he was genuinely shot with it was Church. The other characters just looked like deflected off their helmet.
Yeah.
Did they do the deaths in the Unreal Engine, or did they do it like they did where it's normal Halo style?
I think it's in the Unreal Engine.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was going to lead into it, like, Church is no, and then just followed by Cabooses. Tucker did it. Like, okay, Michael isn't Joel, yes, but the way he delivered that line was freaking perfect, and I can't watch that scene without laughing. And given that that's one of Cabooses' most iconic lines, that just shows how good a job he did.
Speaking of Tucker, though, his fight with Lopez was really good.
Yeah!
And he had the best kill.
Oh, definitely.
This actually does make me think now. Okay, let's say, I know why they added Tex, but let's think hypothetically, what if Tex was not included? It was just Blues and Shiva.
I think Red Team would have won then.
The fight would have been more even.
That was also a big complaint for me for this episode was, why did they include Tex, honestly, when she's technically a freelancer?
Well, I mean, they were going for like a OG Red versus Blue cast thing.
I know.
So I can kind of get it, but at the same time, I get the questioning, like, why is she there?
Yeah.
I do think like maybe she shouldn't have been in the episode. One, they don't have her actress, so it just seems kind of pointless just to have her fight. Even though her fight with Sarge was pretty fun. Especially like when Sarge kind of pulled her in when she gripped his shotgun. And, you know, Sarge actually held his ground a bit.
Yeah, you know what? Like, say what you will about Sarge, but the dude like held his own for a long time.
That's something people forget about Sarge. Yes, he's a doofus, but one, he can build a robot out of junk. Two, he can build a bomb that is powerful enough to destroy a Halo ring. And three, he's fast enough to dodge a laser. I'm surprised I didn't bring that up.
When did he dodge a laser? I don't remember that.
When he was fighting Surge. Remember?
No, that's not a laser, that's a railgun.
Yeah, it fires a laser, mate.
No, it doesn't.
When you shoot it, yes, it does. And do you know what's proof of it? It burns the moment it makes contact with the environment. And you say that's how a laser works.
No, it's a railgun shell.
Shoots a laser.
Lasers aside, I think overall what makes this episode great is it definitely catches that OG vibe, and this episode will vary if you like Red versus Blue or not.
Yeah, and you know what?
It gets more people into the series.
You know what? Talking of that, Bernie said to Ben while he was recording his lines for Church that it felt like he went back in time and was recording the original seasons again.
Yeah.
Like, he freaking loved this.
I wish we had more Simmons.
Yeah, that's like the one complaint I really have. I think Simmons died too soon.
I feel like he definitely was the one that deserved to die first, because I think it was meant to make clear that, yeah, these guys are going to die. So showing Simmons dying first was shock him, but it also kind of proved that, yeah, no character in this fight is safe, including Simmons.
So, by my count, we have 2 episodes left, and I know what those
Before we get to that, I just want to throw out, I've seen complaints like, oh, why didn't Caboose go into a rage and just brutally murder Sarge? Honestly, I think him winning by doing nothing fits better. That feels more like Caboose.
Caboose really needs to have Church get into his mind to properly get angry.
Yeah, so...
And Church was out of the count, so...
Plus, this is Alpha Church, not Epsilon.
Ah, right. He still possessed people.
Yeah, but they also had that rule, like, locking AIs to their bodies.
I mean, yeah. That's why it makes me think that maybe they should have at least they should have gotten rid of text, because I think having one AI of that ability isn't too pro. So, I guess we should reveal the final 2.
Yep. And this was
I'm actually more curious about...
really close. Alright, so the runner-up, with a score of 53...
Throat sore.
Ooh, it got close. So,
yeah,
versus Kakashi was number 1.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Dang.
Here's the thing. It's a season finale, so of course it's going to be very high on the list.
Also, it was just freaking awesome.
I didn't think it would be Obi-Wan versus Kakashi. I thought I would have been alone in that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that, Billy. We're talking about Hulk versus Broly now.
Okay.
I want to talk about that episode.
Wait for it. Hulk versus Broly. I had this as number 5. Honestly.
This was my number 1.
When I made this list, when I made this list, I didn't want to rank the season finale that high just because it came out. But watching every episode back, I'm still sticking with it at number 5. And when this fight got announced, a lot of people were a little upset that it wasn't Asura versus Broly. But then you look at it and you see it's Immortal Hulk versus Super Broly, and then it makes a lot more sense.
Plus, Hulk versus Broly, I mean, I hate the matchup really, but I understand why they went with that, because that was one of their other matchups that they really wanted to do since Season 1.
Also, Hulk has way more material than Asura's one game.
Yeah.
I know, but at the same time, it's like, he already fought Doomsday.
Also, like,
it's hard.
I think Ben addressed this. Like, he considers Death Battle like a celebration of the characters and like the series they're from. But since Hulk was in Death Battle, he went through the Immortal Hulk thing, so it's kind of highlighting that, and it's also celebrating Super Broly.
Right. And for this episode, it was a great way to end the season. They're one of the best season finales we've ever had.
Oh, it's so good.
A lot of good things about this. Like, from the voice acting to the soundtrack to, like, the interaction that they've had with each other.
Yeah.
And of course, the way Hulk used the thunderclap in this episode was a lot better than how he used it against Doomsday.
Yeah, Dude, when he says Hulk smash clap, and the soundtrack picks back up, that is so hype!
Yes. It is. And then, of course, this was the episode where everyone said that Hulk was going to win. And surprise! Broly won!
Oh, boy,
That's what makes it such a good season finale, was nobody expected Broly to win, really. And then Broly pulls it out.
And
yeah,
I'm happy you did.
Really.
What'd you say, Bill?
I said, yeah, it's understandable why they think Hulk would have won, because Immortal Hulk is pretty overpowered.
Yeah, but then it's just like, the only way to put him down is complete, like, disintegration. It turns out, oh yeah, Broly could absolutely do that. Because,
yes.
Scaling up from Goku's base, oh boy!
Yep.
And that's what Beerus would have been put at against Galaxia.
Yeah.
Just makes me think, how powerful is Broly going to get when they eventually... It's inevitable. They're going to do more with Dragon Ball Super, or they're going to do another series, and
I mean, I hope
going
so.
to be a part of it.
Plus, speaking of, the destruction of this episode is definitely beyond what Thanos and Darkseid did.
Dude, they blew up a freaking galaxy!
They blew up multiple universes.
And then shattered reality.
By headbutting each other, and to the point where they restored everything at the same time somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works, but goddamn.
Because Marvel and Dragon Ball.
And then, besides that, oh my god, this is Nick's second best performance this season.
Yeah, and just like, it's one of those fights where I'm just like, it really showcases just how much of a range that Nicholas has. Like,
yeah,
because he can do a perfect voice for Broly, Danny, Kakashi, who we'll talk about later. Don't worry, Billy. Sonic, and even from the last season, Ben 10 and all of his freaking aliens. Like, holy crap!
And then there's Ikari, otherwise known as Rage.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I knew it Rage, honestly, because I played as Takio a lot, and he speaks Japanese, so I kind of figured what it meant.
Mm.
I will admit, the soundtrack is definitely the highlight for me in this episode. Like,
oh, it's so freaking good.
Really catchy. I'm probably very bitter about this episode. One is because I was one of the few people that really wanted to see Broly versus Atrocious from DC.
Okay. Where'd you put this on your list, out of curiosity?
Roughly just under, what episode was it? I think it was under Leonardo versus Jace.
Billy put this at number 4.
I had this at number 5.
And I had it at number 1.
4? I mean, to be fair, I have to do kind of confess about my list. I mostly just ranked the first 3. And then everything else I just put in the middle, and then I put Batgirl versus Spider-Gwen at the bottom. So, wherever everything is in the middle, it's kind of in the air. I kind of rank them all as the same.
Yeah, but like, I don't see a lot of minor gripes with this, personally. It's just that the other 4 I have, I really enjoyed. And I would feel bad if I ranked them under this one just because it was a season finale.
Before I forget, going back to the whole Beerus Galaxia thing, and if people ask, why is this one more destructive than the literal gods of destruction? Because their destruction is more controlled, whereas this, it's kind of just wild rage.
Yeah, Hulk was just basically tempting Broly the whole fight to get angrier.
And I mean, yeah, Hulk, you got what you asked for.
I will say that another highlight of this episode was Nick when he was Broly screaming, "I'll kill you!" Like, damn, it seemed like Nick let out his inner Broly.
Mm.
And then
this was over a deer, by the way. This was over a deer.
Hey, he wanted to pet the deer.
Yeah, but you're telling me that's not psychotic to kill someone just because you didn't get to see a deer? Like, take it out of context if it wasn't superpowered beings fighting each other. It was just 2 regular people. It's fucking insane.
It's also a death battle.
Right.
True. Someone has to die.
Yeah. And also,
this is one of the best season finales of all time.
Absolutely.
Not my personal favorite, but one of my favorites.
It's a good episode. It's
yes.
not a bad episode.
Yeah. And you know what? The animators for this fight were Ruby animators.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Hmm.
So, this just makes me think, like, what happens when Ruby characters start becoming really powerful and they start doing all this crazy shit?
Well, this might be a preview to that.
Do you think Yang's gonna destroy realities by headbutting?
Oh god, that would be terrifying. Like, I'm just picturing her getting so angry she goes off like a nuke.
I mean, her semblance could evolve and maybe that could happen.
Has there actually ever been a Ruby character whose semblance has evolved?
Yes!
I mean, admittedly, I have not... Has there?
Ren!
Okay, unless something happened in this volume that I have not seen yet, so I am a little behind.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, we don't have any Ruby episodes to talk about this season, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I added
it's
this
probably
season.
For the best. Ruby... I feel like Ruby needs more character to... I think Ruby needs to end before they can be in a proper death battle again. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just feel like then I'll feel more comfortable with them being in a death battle. So, yeah, that's our final thoughts on Hulk versus Broly.
Alright, and because I know Billy really wants to talk about this, at number 1, with a score of 57...
Don't give up. Trust in the Force. So uncivilized.
Shocker, we picked the same one that Robust Cast did.
I'll be honest,
It's
I
a
knew
good
that was going to
episode.
happen.
This is really good, though.
It was!
Do you want to start
Listen.
off?
Okay, well, I never actually knew how much I wanted this episode until it was announced. I'm a big Obi-Wan fan, I'm also a big Star Wars fan, I'm also a big Naruto fan. In fact, I'm one of the few people where if a Star Wars character gets into death battle, I'll always root for them even if they lose, except if they go up against a Naruto character. And at first I didn't think like Kakashi would be a good opponent for Obi-Wan. I don't know why, I always thought Ron Weasley would have been kind of funny.
What?
Because the whole idea of, like, Anakin's the chosen one, so is Harry Potter, so their best friend, Ron Weasley versus Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So basically you wanted a 3D version of Harry versus Luke.
I mean, admittedly, you can picture, if these same guys did that episode, it still would have been equally as awesome, I think. It would have been sad to see Ron get sliced in half the same way as Kakashi did, because Ron is my favourite. Another character I also had in mind for Obi-Wan was, I don't know why, the Scotsman from Samurai Jack.
Seriously?
Okay, the connections that you're putting in with these characters are just because they're ginger.
Listen, I honestly would have preferred those over Obi-Wan's other opponent that was speculated when he got announced, which was Kenshi from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that one I didn't understand. That was dumb. But, yeah, mate is right. One of the main reasons. One of them is because they're ginger, and one is because they're best friends of the chosen one. But after I looked more into Kakashi, and because I'm a big fan of him, it makes total sense why these two would fight each other. They were mentors for the next generation of Jedi, and the next generation of ninjas.
And then one of their students
they're
turned
both
to darkness, and they had another student who didn't.
Exactly. They're also probably the memeiest teachers, and like
especially
the group.
Obi-Wan. Like,
Yeah,
just the fact that so many of his lines were prequel like quotes.
that just seems to be a theme with Star Wars characters in Death Battle. Well, at least after Darth Vader. When Yoda was put for a Death Battle, all he was is just Yoda quotes. So first of all, the moment I saw the preview for this fight, I was a bit skeptical. I was like, okay, how do you do the fighting style of Naruto mixed in with the fighting style of Star Wars? Because they fight so differently. Their animations, in terms of TV show anyway, are very different from each other. So I was very curious to see how they'd have this work. And my goodness, seeing like the Star Wars Force techniques and Obi-Wan's combat, trying to get Kakashi and his ninja abilities was so entertaining. Just like, yes, this is how I'd actually imagine these two universes crossing over. Because something crossovers tend to get wrong is that when one series crosses over, one series has to sacrifice something to make it work for the other thing. Street Fighter versus Tekken, they sacrificed Tekken 3D style to be more Street Fighter, and that kind of ruined a lot of the Tekken abilities. And yeah, I was a bit nervous, like, if Naruto was going to be made a bit look too realistic in terms of its combat. But no, straight up, like, Kakashi's using his abilities, and I was so looking forward to the fact they were going to use the 1,000 Years of Death.
You know, funny thing about that, when they first animated that scene, it was just the tip of Kakashi's fingers.
Yes.
And
I know about this story.
And Ben was telling Devil Artemis, go deeper.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, wow. And the face Obi-Wan makes, and it's also the fact he was going to do his line, I had the high ground.
That fucking face, I love it.
It's not just the face, it's the fact the actor's voice cracked as he did it.
No, and then it leads into like Kakashi putting him in the ground and just sassing him like, I guess I have the high ground.
I was like, yes, that is Kakashi. That is straight up Kakashi. Looking aside the meme side, looking at the epicness, Obi-Wan using the Force to create a tornado, using the dirt to disappear, Kakashi being like, impressive. I see you. Throwing away his pawn and straight up getting serious.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, when his eye is dashing a whole bunch, you can hear a TIE Fighter sound effect.
Mm-hmm. How is it you and me are like one of the few people, and Sean of course, how is it we're the only ones that seem to have noticed that?
I don't know.
We go back and watch this episode, and it's still that good.
No, I noticed that on my first watch.
Also, seeing Obi-Wan getting his face punched in by Kakashi, I was like, oh damn, Obi-Wan's actually getting punched.
Yeah. Also,
I
forget what
I just kind of wanted to get kicked in the dick.
I forget what it's called. The thing that the Sharingan does.
The Genjutsu?
Yeah, that's it. When Obi-Wan gets trapped in that and he sees Vader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Same thing that Saber King said, you know, who would Obi-Wan see when he is hit by this technique? And I was like, it either has to be Darth Maul or Darth Vader. I mean, assuming like if we were using like prequels Obi-Wan, then it has to be either Darth Maul or Vader.
Right.
And my goodness, like, and I even love the transition when Darth Vader leaps at him and then it changes to Kakashi using this technique. It's like, yes. It was so smooth as well. Like, it blended perfectly.
Speaking
so
of
much
Kakashi,
about this episode.
This is Nick's best role. Because he sounded exactly like the character from the dub. That's why I really like.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I could go along why this episode's really good, but I've gone about it in the Death Battle podcast, including the one we recorded once. We have been recording for like 3 hours now, so I'll let these guys speak and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Because I'm hungry.
I mean, besides the voice acting, this is still my favorite soundtrack of this season because whenever I hear this soundtrack, I can visualize this battle going on.
Yeah, I do that with a lot of Death Battles.
Yeah. like the little details for this are really great. It came out on Star Wars Day. Kakashi used his force to crush the Sharingan, and you get to see the purple lightning, the face Obi-Wan makes when he gets hit with 1,000 years of death.
I was going to say, if it was 1,000 needles of death, that's going to be painful.
That's a different character who does that jutsu.
Yeah. Also, like,
yeah, exactly.
Also, when he cuts Kakashi in half and has to like adjust, and my God, I remember how excited I got because I was just thinking to myself, I really want to hear him say "so uncivilized" somewhere. And I got so happy at the end.
They
put it
such a
in.
Good job of Obi-Wan, though. Yeah. Like, I thought they just took out voice clips, but no, the voice actor just did that great of a job. And plus, Kakashi's model, for those of you who don't know, that's the Jump Force model.
Yep.
Yeah, I did kind of think, yeah, they had to use the Jump Force one, because that one looks like the most realistic to fit with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and the Obi-Wan model is Battlefront 2.
I do think maybe they could have used Clone Wars Obi-Wan, though, to be honest.
Maybe, but who knows?
And it's because I was a big fan of Clone Wars Obi-Wan. He's like the sassiest character.
What else is there to say about this matchup that hasn't been said, though?
Well, one thing I gotta say is when they mentioned the high ground in the analysis, and Boomstick's just playing it up by standing just a few feet above an opponent, Obi-Wan gains extra powerfulness. He plays it up so much. I love it.
But remember, you've got to love the high ground. And even after that whole meme, many people have just like memed it. Even in Mandalorian, they memed it. Like, it's a universal role that at some point someone's got to say, at least we have the high ground. It's even said in Fallen Order when stormtroopers are getting scared of rebels, they're like, well, at least we have the high ground. Oh man, it's great. And technically Yoda had the high ground in his fight.
Didn't do anything good though.
That's the something people tend to forget. The high ground only works for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when Darth Maul had
Never
it.
works for him. Didn't work.
Yeah.
When that bounty hunter had it in Mandalorian, didn't help. When the stormtroopers had it, they got pushed off. Alright, you know what? My dogs are going nuts, so we should probably wrap up.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so that's our list, and like I said at the beginning, if you watching enjoyed what you heard, go to Billy's channel and check out Lads Discuss Death Battle, where we talk about the more current episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And also you'll understand a lot of our inside jokes. And you'll also get to appreciate Sean's editing.
Is that in this good?
Yeah.
Even though his opinions are shit.
I mean,
it was just one.
Okay,
and speaking of that, I think he's going to put it at the end, but you can see our list.
Yeah, I'll have on screen our individual lists, so if you're not happy with where certain episodes end up, you know who to blame.
I put Babs versus Spider-Gwen over Goro versus Machamp.
You
monster.
So you would rather watch that over Machamp versus Goro?
I like the death in that one better.
You are mad.
That's the only reason.
Your anime, we agree that Sean's now fired from the Death Battle podcast and replaced with Steve.
Well, Steve's dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. At least he could just sit there and do nothing and not have shit opinions. Again, we'll need someone to edit the episode, so I guess we're kind of stuck with Sean.
Yeah, you didn't think that through, did you?
No, I didn't.
Doesn't.
Yeah, I guess we're like... So I guess we do our outros now, because my dogs are kind of bashing my door.
Before I forget to mention this, maybe the list could just be a thing that I just throw together whenever, and it doesn't even have to be ranking certain episodes. It could be hell, I don't freaking know. We'll see.
We'll think of something.
We would like to hear your guys' opinions. I'd leave your ranking of each episode in the comments below, and we might comment and see what we think of it.
I'm going to get so much for this.
You are.
That's alright, Sean. Most people do when there's annoying people on your line. Just block them. So who's doing the outro first?
Well, one of you two start.
John, you go.
Thank you, folks, for watching. And like Mate said earlier, leave your opinions down below on what you think of our list and what your list was. And with that being all said, I hope you folks enjoyed, and I will see you all later.
And with me, if you enjoyed what you see here, be sure to share the video around and get the channel growing. On my channel, I'm currently playing Resident Evil 6, and next month, I'll be streaming Resident Evil 7 on my Twitch. I'm sure Mate will leave a link to that in the description.
I'll be sure to do that. And
yeah.
And also, if you like the interactions me, Billy, and Sean had, Billy also has some videos of us playing certain video games together.
We should all play
Any of
Worms
them-
one day.
We should. Freeway battle.
And make it more interesting.
I guess it's up to you to do your outro.
Yeah, so if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, be sure to like and subscribe. Remember to go check out Billy's channel to get the more up-to-date podcast episodes. Also check out Sean's channel for what he does. And yeah, have a good day.